Welcome to a place for those in search of truth and conviction, a place where we discuss culture, politics, philosophy, and everything in between. I'm Luke, and I'm here with Russ. This is Hardly Strictly Politics.
Lads, what a day, what a day, what a day. All right, so Luke, you want to tell us who we got up here in the house with us right now?
Yeah, sure. So, dear listener, we got two special guests with us this evening. We have Robert and we have Nate. Robert, I think, is going to be with us for the whole episode. Nate, I think, is going to be with us for an hour. And Robert is a dear friend of mine, been a good friend for a long time, several years, one of the smartest dudes I know. I personally know Nate through Russ, actually. Russ, did you want to introduce Nate?
Yeah, I hate that son of a bitch, Robert, first of all. I mean, he's no friend of mine. I despise him, man. So, you know, yeah. Yeah,
as long as we're on the same page, buddy. Love you too.
No, man, Robert is one of my very best friends as well. Also, one of the very smartest individuals I've ever known. I would hate to be as smart as Robert is, to be perfectly honest, man. I would hate that. So, kidding, bro, kidding. And so, Shady Nate, you know, this glorious bastard, I've known him since 2009. Nate, is that right? 2009, I think. Something like that. Yeah. And we knew each other because we lived in the same apartment building in San Francisco. Nate now lives in another left coast shitropolis, and we bonded. We've always been tight, but we especially bonded in the 2015-2016 campaign season. And Nate and I run one of the goddess tier text threads ever in the world with another boy of ours, who we will not mention since he blew us off. We're not going to mention his ass. Yeah, but our text thread is my very favorite that we have, and yeah, Nate, I love it. I love it. It's besides HSP, it's the greatest content I've ever produced is our text thread, to be perfectly honest. So yeah.
Well, credits are other.
Say it again.
Credit to you for the quality of our text thread.
Pshaw.
Pshaw. Credit all those empty bottles.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, maybe something like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, great. Congratulations, by the way.
Oh yeah, thank you, man, thank you. Yeah, we're doing well. Yeah, we're doing well. Yeah. Glad you're here, brother. Glad you're here. Robert, you too, man. I'm so glad. I'm so glad to finally be on a show with you, Robert. For real. I'm really glad. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a little busy on my end. Luke and I have done a couple episodes of the other show, which we've enjoyed doing. At least I know I have. And it's good to be a guest over here on the main show, on the good old HSP.
Yeah, boy. Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm really excited because I've had this vision of wanting to do a show with more than just Russ and I. I've just been waiting for the opportunity, and I had a few people in mind of who that might be, but I was envisioning this day in which we could get 3, 4, even 5 really good people all together in the same show doing this this same format. And yeah, this has been a long time coming for me. At least a year I've been wanting to do something like this. So this is really, really awesome. I'm very, very excited. Dear listener, I think you've got a great show to listen to here. So
inevitably.
Yeah, and I forgot to God, I'm so bad at I could never be really good as a marketer, because I forgot to mention perhaps one of the most important things about Robert is he is also co-host of Zero Gravity Cast, which we are going to be picking back up here soon, and hopefully also coming up with a new name for, because it's just bad branding. It's very confusing. But anyways, yeah, Zero Gravity Cast will probably be renamed soon. Robert's my co-host there. And yeah, I think
I love y'all's show, by the way, gentlemen. I love that show. I've listened to both of them numerous times. Well done, gentlemen. Very well done. Yes.
Russ is more of
Say it one more again, Nate.
when I come. Well, you guys hear?
You're cutting in and out, I think, Nate. Do you, boys, do y'all hear Nate, or is it me?
Not. I hear like a half second and then like 3 seconds of silence.
Same here. Same here. Robert, same for you?
Yeah, same thing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to log in on my phone.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Very
Okay,
good.
cool.
Bring it.
Sounds like we have some left coast technical problems going on.
Yeah.
It's that high quality of living they enjoy out there.
It's all those lefties like blowing up comment sections, tying up the internet. Or no, maybe it's like, did California like pass their own version of net neutrality or something?
Yes, they did. In fact,
Yeah.
they did. Yeah, they did. So a bit is a bit, Luke. A bit is only a bit. That's all it is. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, there has been a bunch of bullshit coming out about net neutrality this week. And dear listener, refer to HSP 02, our deep dive on net neutrality, and we'll set you straight about this. Okay, you're going to hear a bunch of nonsense going forward again for whatever reason about this. But you know what? Mine and Luke's
They'll never give up on that.
They'll never give up. Yeah, they'll never give up. Yeah, but our boy
What
Ajit Pai.
have they been? What are they talking about now? What's been going on this week?
Well, they're trying to raise the case again, right? They're trying to raise the case about net neutrality again, but they've got some headwinds coming at them because
Man, this is when I think that like the right, and not just necessarily the right, but I think in general they need to pass like positive legislation. Like
Yes,
it's
sir.
not enough just to strike down net neutrality and just wait for the next ambush. Like they need to pass something where it's like, okay, we're striking this down, and then now we are crafting new legislation to make sure this never gets brought up again, or something like that. I don't even know if that's possible.
But that's fairly antithetical to the way our system's actually set up, which is supposed to be you retain all rights not otherwise given to the state.
correct.
So they
sir.
shouldn't have to constantly craft new legislation saying, all right, you can't take this away, because that's kind of inherently supposed to be the default of this whole thing.
That's a damn fine point, Robert. That is a damn fine point, huh?
Yeah, but then what's to stop them from just trying again and trying again and trying again? And oh, we didn't get it now, but let's try it again later in this way. I don't know. I mean, I'm just shooting from the hip here. I haven't actually thought this through at all.
Going to stop them is either the will of the people and voting in the politicians who will vote in the right way or not raise these issues at all, or if they overstep their bounds, the judiciary is supposed to stop them.
Yeah, I guess this would be the I guess this would be the argument that if the people are properly philosophically aligned with the right ideas, then the problem solves itself, sort of a thing.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. Yeah. All right, Shady Nate's back in the house. Nate, I'm hearing a bit of an echo. I think it's from you. Do y'all hear it too, boys? Y'all hear this?
Yeah, I'm getting my headphones. One
Okay,
sec.
no worries. Take your time. But like the headwinds are thus, gentlemen. Okay, we can literally prove that download speeds have increased by 35%. We can also prove that upload speeds have increased by 25% by simply getting the government out of the damn way of the internet. Right? These are facts. So, in other words, the market itself is working. It's working. And, but nonetheless, the left, what it's really about, gentlemen, is this, okay? As we see with Twitter, as we see with Facebook, right? They want to shut down right-wing content, right? That really is what this new net neutrality, this new boost, this new coming forth with net neutrality is about, is trying to shut down conservative speech, right? Yeah. Good God Almighty. What is that?
Yo, sorry about that.
All right.
Oh
Won't
yeah,
happen
that's
again.
so much better.
Yeah, I'm on my phone now.
It's really good, man. Really good. Yeah.
I'm still hearing the echo, though.
Yeah, I was about to say, although I'm still hearing the echo.
Unbelievable.
I don't hear it from you. I hear it from when one of us speaks. No, actually, I think you got it.
Yeah,
Robert?
maybe so.
Yeah, Robert, can you give us a test real fast, please, sir?
Yeah, I'm not hearing any echo anymore.
All right, very
testing,
good.
testing.
Yeah.
Okay,
very
good.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we're great again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yikes, my bad.
No, it's
good.
all
No-
good,
no worries, man.
It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to get to what you were talking about, Russ, I think that this is very much the sort of Ben Shapiro-esque type argument against net neutrality, which is that, well, the market works better, and that's true. There's nothing wrong about that, but the problem is that's not. And Robert, you could probably speak to this. That's not like a moral defense. The moral defense is that it's just not their property to regulate in the first place.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. Yes.
And so it really has, yeah. This is where the right does a really bad job of defending things like this and arguing against net neutrality. Is that it isn't? They don't really mount a moral defense around property rights. It's just the markets work better, and so it's this very much pragmatic sort of superficial defense of freedom of markets.
Well said.
Yeah, and if you try to go the "it works better our way" route, then they'll just, you've got all the tech people on the left. They'll find a way to make it so either net neutrality doesn't work as well. They'll manipulate things, or they'll just find a different set of technologies that are more compatible with the way they want to do things. You can't defend it from the "this works better" perspective.
Yeah.
As Luke says, it's got to be from a fundamental place of this is someone else's property. Government does not have the right to interfere, much less to regulate.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, gentlemen, the reality of that matter is that, here we are in 2018, and the right are a bunch of cucks, let's face it. And we're going to talk a lot about that in this show. And they continually buy into the left's frame for argumentation, always.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why this bullshit is such as it is right now. That's why.
I mean, I would argue that the "it works better" argument. I mean, I fully agree with you, but I would, and you may have been saying this, but maybe, and I'm saying it just in a different way, that the "it works better" is an implicit buy-in into their frame. They're buying into their frame, saying like, we're not against regulation per se, because if the regulation would make it work better, then we would be for that, because we are for what works best.
Yes.
So they aren't
right. That's a great way to lay that out,
Yes,
Luke. It's this argument from pragmatism that'll kill you in the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, you see this in other areas too, like Social Security and Medicare and medical insurance and all this sort of stuff. The right has this very cucky, implicit sort of party of me too, but we'll do it better. We'll do your socialist policies for you. We're not against the socialist policies. We could just do it a lot better.
Yep.
And it's just from start to finish a frame buy-in.
Yep. Well done,
As Robert
gentlemen.
and I used to say back in San Francisco, maintain frame.
All three of us did.
Yeah, that's
At
true.
all times, yes, maintain frame.
Yeah. Well said. I mean, I honestly don't really have much to add about that, but our dear listener, Luke and I have wanted to get to this nonsense going on in social media with shutting down right-wing content. All right. We have a couple of incidents that have happened this week on Patreon where conservatives have been shut down again. Right. Okay. My contention is this, gentlemen, and I want to throw it out to you. I've thrown it out to Luke before, and I got really good feedback about it. But nonetheless, my contention remains, okay? I think that what needs to happen is that we give social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, whomever, okay? They have, let's call it, you have 60 days to declare whether you are a publisher or a platform, all right? Because these companies in lawsuits and, also just in terms of their personal morality, have had it both ways in terms of being a publisher and a platform, right? When it's convenient for them to be a platform, we're not responsible for this content, we're just a platform, right? Well, they take it that way, okay? But then all of a sudden, they become a publisher when they shut down right-wing content. They begin to curate what is on their platform. They are exercising editorial control in the same way that a publisher would. So, my proposition is thus: you have 60 days to declare yourself one way or the other. You can't be both ways anymore. And then, whichever way they declare themselves, well, then let the lawsuits flow. I know Luke's thoughts on this. He doesn't like it. Robert, what do you got about it? What do you think about that?
Well, I'm struggling with the difference that you're drawing between being a platform and a publisher.
Okay, it's this.
Let's try
Okay.
analogy and see if this can unpack it. Say I own a parking lot. I can at certain times say no RVs, no buses, no big trucks. And then at other times I might say, yeah, sure, today's a special event. There's a RV expo. Bring them on in. I don't see why I have to declare that I'm either a car parking lot or I let RVs in always and ever. Always or never.
Well, okay.
I think it's a bit arbitrary. I mean, certainly a company could be both these days. I wouldn't want to restrict that.
Okay. But
And they're going to do what they want anyways. So,
well, that's true. Yes, they will, and they should. To be fair, they should. But what is happening is that serially, one by one, right-wing content is being shut down. Right? So, like Robert, this isn't about RVs and cars, right? This is about free speech.
Well, so again, free speech. Yeah, you can say what you want, but where and how becomes the issue. You don't get to come onto my lawn and put a Hillary Clinton sign.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You're not going to get up on my rooftop and start screaming about join the Communist Party, because I'm not going to let you up there.
Well,
If
okay.
you want to come scream on the rooftop about individual rights, hell, I'll build you a ladder.
Yeah, okay. That's a great point. Okay. So then going forward, right, to guarantee right-wing content's existence, what should be done?
I think you've got to find platforms that are really, truly content neutral. People who build their business model around saying, we don't really give a fuck what you put on the platform. We're not going to even read your posts. It's not concerning to us. You want to, do racial slurs or crazy tinfoil conspiracy theories or talk regular sewing and cooking tips. We're not going to monitor it. We don't care. Anything goes.
I would agree.
Or you find companies that are very explicitly like, okay, this is the platform. This is the anti-YouTube. This is the anti-Facebook. This is where you go to say right-wing stuff.
Well, to be fair, I mean, yeah, I do agree. Gab has been very objective about this. And what happened to Gab? They got deplatformed, man. They got shut down from the DNS service system, right? Nonetheless, Gab is kind of a content neutral shithole of a content platform. But I'm on Gab. Are you boys on Gab? Are y'all on Gab?
I created a profile and literally the first time I left the platform, I never came back. But I mean, this is, I think, precisely one of the reasons why they failed. I mean, they got deplatformed because did they have any standards at all? Or did they literally just like, you could go on there and just say whatever the hell you...
Yeah, it's the latter. That's literally what they are.
I mean, I think I think that was their problem. I don't think they would have gotten shut down by the DNS providers had they had some standards. I think the real problem with Twitter and Patreon and these other companies shutting down conservatives and deplatforming them is that they have no rules. They have such a vague set of rules that you just never really know what they're going to do. And in the case of Sargon, he got kicked off for saying the N-word on someone else's show, not on Patreon, in a totally different context and environment. And he was actually using it as a way of describing. I mean, it was stupid. He shouldn't have done it, but he was using it in the context of this is the stuff that the alt-right says. So he wasn't actually using it himself directly. It was in reference to something other people say. That's why Patreon shut him down, which is actually against their standards, because the CEO of Patreon went on to Dave Rubin and told Dave Rubin they would not shut anybody down for things they do outside of Patreon. And then they didn't actually do that. Now, that doesn't put them at risk of a lawsuit, but it does show a certain inconsistency, a lack of commitment to their own standards. And I think that's really where all this comes from, is there's just no clearly defined set of rules or standards, and even when there are, they don't follow them. I think if Gab had set out some just very basic rules and then just stuck with that, they probably would have had a much easier time. I mean, I think there's a healthy middle ground here. I don't think it's a dichotomy of no conservatives or no rules.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
you.
and that may be just the reality of the business situation, that most people would
Right,
find
right.
a no rules platform completely, unpalatable, because it's offensive to everybody pretty much at that point.
Yeah. And the other thing I'll suggest here is that I don't think it's gotten as bad as people really. I mean, if it really were that bad, then people would have gone over to Gab. There was a reason why they stayed at Twitter, because whatever Twitter has to offer is more valuable than whatever Gab has to offer. So there's a reason why that migration never really happened en masse, because in spite of what Twitter's doing, it's still a valuable enough platform that the conservatives themselves chose to stay over there and not go to Gab. So even presented with an alternative, they still haven't done anything about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and social media is a very fickle thing. I've been learning about this TikTok phenomenon, for example.
Right.
And the younger generation all of a sudden picking this up and running with it. So you can see that if people really want this stuff, they will go to it. So
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
Luke's dead on with the fact that Gab is just not offering anything anyone's interested in at this point.
Yeah. And not only that, but like Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson are actually supposedly, they may have already announced it, releasing their own platform. Like a competitor, a direct competitor to Patreon.
That is happening this week. Yeah, it is happening. Yep. And, I mean, both of those gentlemen have hella money, and it's really just about coding at this point. And, yeah, that's what's gone down.
And they're two of the best people I can think of to do it, because the reason they have hella money is that they've been aggregating all the people who feel like we do. They've been gathering them together and saying, look, this is insanity. And they now have the power to create the thing that will maybe help.
Yep.
And there's your answer, Russ.
Yes, indeed it is. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Okay, boys, let's batten down a little bit. I'm still hearing an echo. Is anybody else hearing this echo?
Yeah.
Or is it just me?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Let's try to figure out the source of this, because it is recording. I can see it in the waveform. So I don't hear it now. Luke, can you say something, please, sir?
Test.
Good. Robert,
I don't hear it. Yeah.
Robert, please, sir.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Okay, Nate, please, sir.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we're good. Okay. Well done, gentlemen. Well done. Nate, I do agree. That is the answer. I do completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad of a situation.
Really?
And, I think it's evidence that the right does fight back in their own way, and the consumers drives the market. So, yeah, obviously places like Twitter masquerade as being more impartial than they are, but there are still places like 4chan where you can just go and say whatever the fuck you want.
Absolutely.
And exchange more radical ideas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As far as Luke's comment about the rules are unclear on these platforms, I think that's a function of how they're trying to enforce them at this point. They've got some 20-something kid in a basement in San Francisco looking at shit at 3 a.m, and if that person's a super sensitive snowflake, they're like, oh, that's hate speech, and they shut it down. Whereas, maybe the day shift's a little older, maybe that's your Gen Xers, and they're like, yeah, okay, that's a little edgy, but we're not going to shut that down.
Yeah.
So
There's an inconsistency because they don't really know what the hell they're doing is the answer.
Yeah. So moral of the story is post your edgy memes during business hours.
That's right. That golden 1:30 to 3:30 spot.
That's when John's working.
From lunch, they're a little sleepy. They let you sit through.
Indeed.
Busy checking their 401ks.
Indeed. Oh, man. All right. So, all right. I think we killed that. What we got next? General Flynn? Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Nate, you want to...
Yeah.
Or Russ, did you want to lead Nate in, or...
Well, okay. All right. So, yes, here are the facts. Dear listener, this is what went down, okay? General Flynn had a hearing this week under the auspices of the judge Emmett Sullivan. I've been calling him Emmett Smith all week, but it's Emmett Sullivan. Yeah.
So wait, no football trophies in this guy's office? Then?
I was literally thinking the same thing right as you said that. I was like, oh, Emmett Smith.
Yeah. So,
I gotta say, Russ, that makes this whole line of inquiry here a lot less exciting. But
yeah, I know, bro. I know. Let me step up. All right. So,
General Flynn faced an inquiry of Joe Montana, Emmett Smith, and several other prominent retired members of the NFL.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. All right. So the facts are these. Okay. The way this hearing went down was that Judge Sullivan pretty much begged Flynn to change his guilty plea. Right. Begged him pretty much to withdraw. Right. And delay his sentencing hearing. And General Flynn was like, no. I want to get this done right now. Then all of a sudden, this motherfucker comes out and starts calling him guilty of treason, right? And it was a judicial mistake, right? He thought that General Flynn was being paid by the Turkish government as a lobbyist while he was in the Trump cabinet. Okay, this is false. This is entirely false. We know this. How Judge Sullivan doesn't know this, I don't know. So I think there's something going on here that we don't understand. Okay. All right. But then the very next day, this same judge ruled, right, that everybody who has been deported from the United States because they were found not worthy of asylum, all of these illegal immigrants found not worthy of asylum, deported. Well, this son of a bitch rules that the United States must fly them back in for another asylum hearing. Hell of a week, Judge Sullivan. Wow. Anyways, so let's stay on topic about General Flynn. I don't understand what's going on. Nate, do you have any thoughts, man? I've been dying to know your thoughts about this, and I did not text you about this week because I wanted you to bring it on the show. You got any thoughts?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know that the right was pretty excited about the hearing, and it seemed like we were mostly LARPing about that. Mm-hmm. But they expected Judge Sullivan essentially to charge Mueller with harmful prosecution and throw the case out. And, the exact opposite happened for sure. And so, yeah, that was weird how we got our lines crossed on that.
Yeah,
but
it was. Yeah.
But as far as, I'm sure there's more at play. And, obviously we don't know. Maybe Judge Sullivan, he looks like more of an activist judge now.
Yeah.
And so he kicked the can down the road. And, liberals will be able to have more talking points about it in the next 3 months.
Yeah. It's rather ironic to me how the left now all of a sudden sounds like the right in terms of lock him up. They are literally chanting that the same way that everybody chants that about Hillary on the right, So I'm calling this in terms of cultural wins, a frame buy-in. Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
All of a sudden, the left sounds like the right now, all of a sudden, they're talking about things like treason and stuff like this, like we always have, right? Now, all of a sudden, they kind of, I guess, understand our mentality about, damn, honey, what's going on? Now they all of a sudden understand our mentality about the corruption of government, though I do not think Flynn is corrupt. I think that they are misguided. I think they're entirely misguided, right?
So they're chanting "lock him up" about Flynn?
Yeah, they think he's guilty of treason, quite literally, which he's not.
Yeah.
I
mean, the thing is that there's always context. The context here with respect to Hillary versus Flynn, this isn't just a tactic, right? It's not just like, oh, hey, they're buying the right's tactics. It's like there are good guys and there are bad guys. You know what I mean? Like, we are the good guys. And so when people are chanting "lock Hillary up," that is not necessarily an act of injustice, in my personal opinion. Now, of course, you would need to be tried in a court of law and you need to be proven and everything. But like I'm pretty sure they've probably done a lot worse things than Flynn has. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess my point here is just that we should always remember context, and there's good guys and bad guys.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about something unrelated, and it was like two different people or two different encampments doing the same thing, and I was like, yeah, but one of them is right and one of them is wrong. One of them's justified in doing that, the other one's not. And I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Well, I've been watching.
I think that theme is why this whole story is so confusing, because we're talking about these laws that have highly technical definitions as to what's treason and what isn't. It's not just like, oh, you gave them the position of our troops at wartime. I mean, that's pretty clear cut. Like, okay, to the gallows with you.
Right.
But this stuff's like, oh, you made a phone call to this guy on the third Tuesday of the month, and that's not allowed.
Yeah.
Indeed, sir. Indeed.
Yeah, and it's also a lot of it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nate and Russ. You probably know better than I do, but I mean, a lot of this stuff is just perjury traps.
Oh yeah.
Especially with Flynn.
Absolutely.
It's like, had this never been, had they never called him in the first place. Isn't it like the police, just like the normal police, like they're not allowed to do this? Like basically entrapment, I think is what it's called.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called entrapment. I mean,
it depends on the context. The cops can lie to you. What's unique about this is that they've made lying to the FBI a crime, where if you lie to the cops, you can always be like, oh, yeah, I sort of just screwed that up. I forgot about this detail. But the FBI can be like, nope, you lied. You're going to jail. It seems like all of Mueller's charges that he is bringing are just like, oh, you lied to the FBI.
Yeah.
The fact that I talked to you makes you a criminal now.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Well,
I mean, let's not forget that General Flynn is like supposedly a master spook. You know, the guy has been in intelligence for like 20 years. So I'm really confused why he was able to get entrapped and, you know, just treated it like a casual conversation when they said, oh, hey, can we talk to you? He's like, oh, yeah, sure. Come on in. You want a cup of coffee?
That is such
I
a
don't
damn
really get
fine
it.
point.
Yeah, I mean,
Huh.
Yeah, he was at Margaritaville in the Caribbean, and in between margaritas, taking calls with Mueller. You know.
That is such a good point. Yeah. There is something going on here that we just simply don't understand, gentlemen. I mean, we don't know all of the facts yet. And, man, Nate, you put exactly what it is that was on my mind about all this that I've not been able to articulate. How in the fuck did... Okay, yes, the FBI did not explain to General Flynn that this was an adversarial interview. Okay, how did General Flynn not know this in the first place, that it was an adversarial interview?
That's a pretty good question about pretty much everyone who's been caught in that way since all this began. It's like, you guys, you're top government officials. You don't realize talking to the FBI is always on the...
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I've been elected president now. What's this Constitution business I keep hearing about?
Yeah.
It was Peter Strzok who interviewed Michael Flynn.
It was.
It was a clear perjury trap.
Yeah.
And, I don't think there's any doubt that Michael Flynn is just being set up. And, Mueller himself recommended an easy sentence. So the fuckery really started happening, pardon my French, when Mr. Sullivan got involved, Judge Sullivan, Until then, it was pretty clear cut.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And the case itself remains quite clear cut. I just don't know what the judge is doing.
Yeah.
I take all of this as at least somewhat encouraging, because they're trying all these tricks, all these perjury traps, all this nonsense, and they're still pretty much coming up with nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's some of these guys on some campaign finance stuff from 10 years ago or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're just digging at that point. The Federal Register is such that we're all federal criminals if we look hard enough.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really just the means for them to control the narrative, and liberals are very happy just to hear that there are indictments. That's more than enough for them. That will sustain them for months at a time. But the irony being that
convictions it's just indictments or evidence that you're shady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like
indictments.
It's like we've talked about previous episodes. They just want gray storm clouds hovering over, a Trump presidency all the time for the whole time.
Yeah.
And then they can say that there were gray storm clouds over the Trump presidency the whole time because they were the ones who put them there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that'll get transcribed directly into their people's history textbooks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
The irony being that it's really exonerated Trump as like the cleanest guy to ever run for president ever. You know?
Yeah,
It's
dude,
like-
that's a really good point. I mean, and the funny thing is I think Trump knows this. It's like when that press conference that was like 2 months ago, something like that, where Trump was talking about, he was like, I could fire these people, but I just let it go on. I let it continue. And I think he knows he didn't do anything, and they're not going to get anything, and at the end of the day, it's going to be exactly like you described, Nate. Everyone's going to be like, God, they mustered all that they had and could not bring him down.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Trump irritates the left because he shows them the game, and they don't like to see the game. Right? It's like the old pickup thing with women. They don't want to know how you know how to do these things, just that you do. And so when Trump comes in and just like pulls the curtain on it and shows you the whole political process and how corrupt everybody is, they're like, oh, we can't have that. He's ruining the fun.
Yeah,
we shouldn't do this in front of the cameras.
Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
dude, Nate, that's exactly what I was about to say. Robert, did you
Yeah.
see that press conference with Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Trump like
I
a week
did
or
not.
two ago? Oh, dude, it's exactly what you just described and what
It
Nate
is.
was referencing. Basically, they were talking about it was the lead up to whether they were going to shut the government down in the name of funding the border, and Trump was bringing it up, and he was like, at the end of the interview, he was talking about how he'd be very proud to shut the government down if it meant border security and all this and that. But Nancy Pelosi was just squirming in her chair. She was just like, we don't need to talk about this in front of the people, in front of the press. This is something that she was literally basically saying, this is a backroom deal. This is not something that we should be talking about in front of anybody. And Trump was like, oh, it's transparency. This is transparency.
Yeah. I'm so glad he said that too, because he misses a lot of opportunities where I'm like, dude, you could just say the most simplest talking point right now and totally win this argument. And he doesn't do it. But he used the word transparency, and that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, Nate, if you listened to the episode when we talked about this, but 2 points that we brought up on this was that, like, the American working man or woman, like, when they go to work, when their boss comes to them, they don't have the luxury, and their boss asks them a question about, like, oh, hey, how'd that project go? Or how's that project going? They don't have luxury of being like, hold on, I'm gonna go have a private conversation about this first, and then I'll get back to you. Like,
Or
Yeah.
plead the fifth. Yeah. Yeah. Or invoke
Like
my
you-
right to not testify.
yeah, like the normal working person identifies with this sort of transparency. Trump stepping up and saying he's taking responsibility for shutting down the government, like something else people have to do all the time at work. It's like the normal person identifies with what Trump did. I think that was a really a powerful moment, if you will.
Well, I'm going to have to take your word for it, because I can only hope that there's more normal people in other parts of the country than where I live.
Well,
Because, obviously there's a lot of liberals here, neoliberals rather. And, they stick to their talking points. They don't think about anything practically. And they just basically consume whatever the media gives them. They're happy with that. So, yeah, I mean, I really hope there are normal people who see that and say, yeah, that's what I want a president to do. I want transparency. I like this. But I don't know any of them.
Well, I can tell you I've been through 10 or 12 states this year since the beginning of last summer, and everywhere I go, I have these conversations with people, and they're stupefied and horrified about the things I tell them about California and the West Coast in general. So, yeah, they're out there, and they've become galvanized.
indeed.
Now, I'm also hoping that they're the type of people who vote when Trump's on the lineup, so I can rationalize them not coming out for the midterms.
Well, yeah, that also is a good point. It is rationalization because we lost the midterms. I mean, let's just face it. We lost. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. It is what it is. But
It was what it was.
yeah, it was what it was. And
Well, it depends on your perspective of what is losing, too. I think a lot of people are kind of fed up with both parties and see that if neither of them have any sort of dominance, that's kind of a win, because then the government becomes ineffectual at taking away more rights, stealing more money, and just doing
I
general
would agree
stupid
with
shit.
that. I would agree with that entirely. Yeah.
And so that's my theory as to why the midterms tend to see a shift away from the dominant president, because it's like, all right, these guys have had the reins. They had a Republican-dominated Congress. They had a Republican president, and they still managed to fuck it up and not really do anything. So let's punish them a little bit, but not so much. We don't want to give it all back to the Democrats because we still got the hangover of 8 years of Democrats.
Huh.
But let's show the Republicans that they're not doing the job.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's also an element of the fact that our two political parties today do a really bad. I mean, Trump is basically the first iteration of this in a very, very long time, basically probably since Reagan. But they just do a very poor job of asserting a positive in terms of a vision of something, some idea or ideal that they're after. And so our politics is just, for the last 20 years or so, has just been this game of, oh, we're not really going to say exactly and explicitly what we are, but we will tell you we aren't them. And I think that's why in the midterms you see more people from the opposition coming out, because the people who are in power are just not really asserting a positive.
Yes, sir. The politics of absence, not presence, is how
Right.
I would put
Well, that's the psychology of loss, though, too. People respond better to what they have to lose, not some promise about what they might gain.
Yeah, that's
Fair point.
It's always more persuasive. If you tell people, well, if you don't do this, you're gonna lose $1,000. You can get more out of them typically than if you say, all right, well, if you do go do this, you'll get some extra bit.
That's a god tier point, man. That's so right. That's so right.
And I think that politicians are probably the best applied psychologists around because they know persuasion better than anyone. They've been doing it for thousands of years, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
a really
yeah,
good
the
point.
Democrats are really good at it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but they control the media, so they have that distinct advantage.
Yeah. True.
Well, the media tends to agree with them. I mean, certainly they don't control it, or it would be pretty much the Russia-style state runs the media. The left does divide itself occasionally, and it always eats itself in the end. So sometimes the news media even burns the Democratic politicians.
Well, we are seeing
Rarely.
that right now, right? We are seeing the left eat itself and divide itself right now, right, in real time. Nonetheless, I would push back a little bit, Robert. I do think that the left controls the media. I don't think that the media willingly caters to the left. I do think the left controls them, right? And
I think both are true. Yeah. A lot of journalists are just simply rabid leftists. So they're in their 20s and shit. So they're just going to unconsciously, they're going to unconsciously be partial. But I mean, don't get it twisted. Like, Democrats don't send out talking points every day.
Oh, but they do. This has been
They
busted
certainly do.
over and
they have
over.
a lot more NGOs and stuff like that
Yeah.
related to controlling narratives.
I think that's absolutely true, but in the end, the journalists have to want to use those talking points. That was the first half of what you said.
Yeah. And they do.
Yeah, they do. I mean, like Gamergate brothers, Gamergate, right? This is where we found evidence of leftist talking points being inserted into the narrative in backroom email chats, right? We saw evidence of it. It happens all the time. And to be fair, it also happens on the right, right? But the right does not control the media, nor the social media platforms.
Yeah, we don't control the narratives.
Indeed.
Well,
I mean,
what
the
about
left has a
Fox
ton
and
of bias,
Breitbart
too.
and things that are at least sympathetic to the right? I mean, the same idea is that there's ones that are going to use the right's talking points. So you're splitting hairs when you say they agree with you versus you control
Well,
them.
that's a fair point. Yeah, that's true.
But I think
There's
there's a
not one
difference
thing
between-
that's the media. There's a ton of things, little websites all the way up to major news networks, and some of them align one way, some align the other.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's true.
It so happens that the great majority of them go left, absolutely.
Yeah.
The thing is that even the ones that quote unquote align with the right, they're still going to be more impartial about being honest about the breadth of stories that they're going to cover. In my mind, so I mean, a lot of what the left does
that's
is
one
not
of the
true.
values of the right is truth and transparency.
Right.
And this is why you can't stoop to the left's tactics of propaganda and lying and pragmatism, because then you're basically, as Luke said earlier, surrendering frame to them. So this is not a unique problem. This has been going on, probably every time there's some kind of big cultural shift, there's one group that's willing to say anything and another one that says, no, wait a minute, we got to talk about reality.
Yeah.
Certainly that happened in the Russian Revolution, from what I understand.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's more amplified now because of technology, obviously, and social media and stuff. And I think it's a lot easier to control the narrative. And, it could be as simple as when you're riding in the elevator and you get little news blurbs. You don't have a choice about that. And, those aren't going to be from Fox News or Breitbart.
There's a product you should look into that just did a Kickstarter, just as an off topic here, where it's a pair of sunglasses that blocks out all plasma and TV screens. I ordered a pair.
That's hilarious. I actually sometimes very much appreciate living in Germany, because my German's almost to the point now where I can pretty much just understand the news. But for the longest time, it was just, if I wanted to hear news, I had to proactively go seek it out, like online, just turning on the TV, waiting in the train station. I can't understand anything they're saying. I hear Trump, and then I hear nothing else, so kind of nice, actually, I can tell you. But buying a pair of sunglasses is probably easier than moving to another country where you can't understand the language.
It reminds me of William
not as
Gibson.
effective.
Yeah. It reminds me of William Gibson, Robert. What was the novel like where you could buy a pair of glasses, right, or get a chip implanted, and you would get paid to be advertised to and propagandized? What was that? Was it the Bridge trilogy? I think it was.
I didn't read that one, so I couldn't tell you.
I think it was the Bridge trilogy. I think so. Yeah. Good shit, gentlemen. Good shit.
Yeah, I was going to say one last thing about the media. I think one of the reasons why the media is so left is because it is an industry where you pretty much had to go to college. It's not an industry that's going to be hiring people en masse who do not have a college degree.
Fine point.
And also a lot of the people in media, it's not that they just went to college. They likely went to either Ivy League or liberal arts schools. So it is an industry composed mostly of people who are sent through this extremely liberal college experience, who then go on and, it's almost entirely those people. It's almost sort of like, of course they're going to be left,
That's a damn
Well,
fine
I
point.
appreciate your point about the leftist bias in the universities, but that's pervasive. So it's not even about liberal arts colleges anymore. One of the best schools for journalism is Arizona State, for example. I think it's actually called the Cronkite School of Journalism over there.
That's correct. Yes.
And the theory that they teach now is that there is no such thing as objective journalism, and they teach that everywhere. The idea is that you can't be an impartial observer, so what you got to do is put the right message in your bias, or have the right bias. And so they basically are saying you have to be an activist and not a journalist. There's no such thing as a journalist anymore.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
I didn't either. Wow.
All this, you pay people to research shit that doesn't need researching. You shouldn't be surprised when they come up with weird theories.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you guys are the keepers of the content here, but one thing I would like to explore if we have the time is to tie this topic we were just talking about back to the one before it, with the censorship, as you guys call it, of the social media platforms and the leftist zeal of young journalists.
Bring it.
My question is, what is the motive? It's very easy to paint them up and say, they're just these evil communists who want to throw us all in the gulag. That's not it, is it? There is a motive here. And there's got to be some belief of the fact that they're right in some way. Because most people, when you look at it from, again, a psychological perspective, most people want to do good. They want to be good people, and they want to do the right thing. So what is the motive here with the censors at Twitter, with the journalists who are, from our perspective, putting out propaganda? They must think it's the right thing to do, right?
Robert, I cannot comprehensively answer that question, okay? But, I've been reading comment sections and watching very closely about the rhetoric of what's going on in comments, right? And, Luke and I did a pretty good job about trying to calm everybody down in HSP. Unfortunately, I fucked that episode up, so that content didn't get out, okay? What I am seeing right now is people on the right literally saying it is time to grab our guns and go start shooting right now. Okay. What I see from the left are that they don't want to let us go, right? The right does not want to be bothered with. They do not want to be prevailed upon, right? But what I see from the left is that they don't want to let us go. And I can only assume that there is some will to domination going on here. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? Like the left wants to dominate us and is not willing to let us go because they so thirst for this domination, right? Meanwhile, we don't want to dominate them. We just want them to not fuck with us, right? That is what I see.
Okay, so yeah, let's unpack that a bit. I mean, the people you see saying this stuff are going to be the vocal ones who care enough to get on the web and do it.
True.
Right?
That's
and
true.
Comment and participate. And I have no doubt there's Machiavellians on both sides of the
Indeed,
aisle in
sir.
that sense.
Indeed.
I'm more interested in, your 20-year-old who's working at, what's those horrible publications, like HuffPost or whatever.
BuzzFeed.
They've got to have some motivation here. They must think, I'm doing the right thing. I'm saving the world. What about your 50-year-old, eat, pray, love, Prius driving with the little flower in the front of the dash type woman who votes for Hillary and says, I'm with her. She thinks she's saving the world, right?
True.
Like there's all the feelings and all these bad men running around, and we got to do something.
True.
Right. If you think you've got the answer to the world's problems, and no, you don't just let people go, because that'd be like saying we're not going to stop Nazi Germany. We're just going to, build a wall around them and let them eat each other inside. Said, no, we're going to sail the beaches of bad thought at Normandy, and we're going to come on in and take everybody over and show them the right way. We're going to vote in all the leftist politicians. Of course, they don't think of themselves as leftists, do they? They think of themselves as progressives, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Indeed. Man, that's a damn fine point. I'm interested in that too. I am. You know what I mean? I mean, because, from the very beginning, all right, when Luke and I started this podcast, right, the very first thing that we said, okay, all right, what do we want to do? We want to save the world. And I do not doubt for a moment that all of these other crusader types think the same. I don't know data about it, but I do see exactly what you're talking about, Robert. I see it myself with my own two eyes, and, I see all these resist bumper stickers everywhere. Sorry, Luke. Go on, bro. Go on.
I was just going to ask Robert really quickly. So are you asserting that the motive is the... So Russ was suggesting the motive was will to power. You're suggesting, if I understand you correctly, and I may not be, that the motive is to the will to save the world.
To be correct.
Yeah, I think it's the will to do good.
Yeah.
Is what I think it is.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah.
if that's true, then it goes all the way back to what you and I always talk about on the other show, which is we got to get down to the fundamentals, back to basics, and talk about ideas.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's where I thought you were going, but I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I was curious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is about ideas. It's a want to do good. Although if I were to, I think that's definitely true of. Sorry, excuse me. I think that's definitely true of, these sort of progressive rags like BuzzFeed and whatnot. But I mean that assumes. So yeah, those are the people who want to do good, right? But then there's another direction that the left is sort of going, which is this much more nihilistic direction, like Antifa, and they don't want to do good. They want to see the world burn because they just have pure hatred for the world.
That's my point right there, Luke. That's my point. Yeah. That's what I meant to say, but you said it better. Yeah.
Even that I don't buy, because I think Antifa just wants to be the ones in charge. They want to turn everything upside down and get something for nothing, as usual.
Well, yeah, that's like the socialist left, which is different than the left, and hopefully that they're more the fringe. But I think what it comes down to is just Trump derangement syndrome. And the left is basically obsessed with Trump, more so than the right. They don't give us any credit for trying to use him as a vessel for our ideas. They just think that we deify him. In doing so, they deify him. And they have Trump derangement syndrome. And it's worse than imagine if someone like Reagan ran or whoever else, or George Bush was president. It's not the same.
Yeah, yeah. You can even see this in their rhetoric. They don't call people Republicans or conservative. The left does not call people Republicans or conservatives anymore. They call them Trump supporters.
Well, they call us Cletus. They call us like all sorts of derogatory names, you know. But
Well, so that is betraying why they think we do what we do, right? They think we're dumb, basically.
yeah,
They've got a whole complex structure of ideas that they think leads them to the truth of leftist socialism, and they think that we just don't get it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, but I think part of it is that they don't want to engage with ideas at all. They've assumed that they are right from the outset, that is the default setting, and there's no changing that. And to call somebody a Republican is to assert that they hold some set of ideas with which they would have to argue. When you call somebody just a Trump supporter, it's like what Nate was saying. You are, packaged into that. You're saying that they have deified somebody and they are blindly following somebody, irrespective of ideas.
True. Yeah, it's this assumption that you're somehow just irrationally a fan of this cult of personality type leader.
right.
Yeah,
as if Trump is Machiavelli, and that's the biggest joke about it all. As if Trump is some Machiavellian figure. And I try to tell even my more intelligent neoliberal friends, I said, guys, what you see is what you get. And they're like, no, he's a con man. You got duped, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they're living in fantasy land.
Although, spend enough time on Twitter with these like crazy Trump girls, and you might change your mind for at least a moment.
I think that's just good life advice there. Don't spend any time on Twitter ever.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get off Reddit.
Yeah.
Reddit first.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Were you trying to get off Reddit?
Kick the habit, man. Kick the habit.
Ideally, yeah. Trying to get
that?
off Reddit. I mean, it's just overtaken. Even anything that makes the front page is either explicitly or implicitly anti-Trump. And, and like every time there's like someone posts a picture of two people getting married, it's like, it's always going to be lesbians, Otherwise, it's not going to make the front page. It's not going to make the front page,
True.
And I'm not a hater, but
Same
I just
here.
don't like that stuff.
Are you going to go to a new platform?
Well, my brother says, oh, you need to go to 4chan. There's only two places you need to go, poll and like TV. The only two places you need to go. So I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to just use Reddit for the subreddits that I follow, like my soccer stuff and the Donald, etc. But every time I click on all and get in these arguments with people, and they're never going to change. So I'm trying to disengage a bit more, because you're not going to win an argument with a leftist, because they obviously don't want to argue about ideas. They just want to use pejorative and argue about they just want to LARP, really. And
That's goddamn correct. That's absolutely
I've said
correct.
this before. I'll say it again a million times. I will not argue with somebody if I get the sense that they are not going to be honest.
Yeah.
Yep.
And intellectually honest in every respect. If they are not out to understand and come to an understanding of I'm right, you're wrong, or vice versa, and it's just a matter, and they've assumed a position of I'm here to save you from yourself, then I'm not even going to engage with them. It's just a complete waste of time. Dude, to go off on a little tangent, did y'all see this lesbian marriage comment? Reminded me of something I read actually on poll today.
By the way, I love lesbians. Y'all love lesbians, right? Lesbians are welcome right here with us. Unequivocally. Go on, Luke. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
Oh no, it's all good. It's actually, this is funny. It's not even about lesbians. It is tangentially, but that cake baker in Colorado is getting sued again.
Yes, sir.
Y'all seen this?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Does this make 3 times?
Yeah, he's getting sued because like a transgender wedding or birthday or some sort of event focused around a transgender person. They submitted that, and now he's getting sued again. A third, second time at least.
Yeah, they must make some really good cakes,
Yeah, no kidding, man.
Best fucking cakes in the world.
Dude just needs to hang a sign in the window that says no wedding cakes, no more. Or he needs to make just one cake, and it needs to have like a squirrel marrying a sheep or something.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Actually, you know what he should do is like, this is the total, like going back to what we started with, this is the total like publisher versus platform argument here. He's like, I am not a platform. I am a publisher of cakes.
Yes, exactly.
Indeed, sir.
Oh man.
Oh, very good.
I mean, I do want to say that, as far as like young journalists, someone who works at HuffPo, I mean, I don't think there is a motive necessarily or like an agenda. I think they're just naive, and I think that when anyone was 18, they thought they knew everything. And then when they were 20, they were like, but man, I sure was dumb when I was 18, but boy, I got it figured out now. And then they were 23 and they said, boy, look at me when I was 20, So I think it's just naivety. I don't think there's necessarily an agenda.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
really good
that's
point.
probably another legitimate category. Yeah.
Nate, how much time do you have left? Do you have time to do another topic, or do you need to roll?
I mean, can we do a break? And then I need to go buy some smokes.
Yeah, that's cool. Y'all want to take a break?
You guys do a break?
Yeah, let's do a break. Yeah.
All right, cool. How much time do you need, Nate?
No, like less
5
than
minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, let's take 15 minutes then.
All right. Very good, gentlemen. Very good.
All right, I'll be RB.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna refill. I'll be back.
All right.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to HSP 19. This is 19. Yeah, this is 19. A Comfy Christmas with HSP. So nice of you to join us, dear listener. I've actually got a little Christmas bit. Y'all want to hear it?
Bring it.
All right. So I took the liberty of rewriting a little "Twas the Night Before Christmas" for HSP 19. So I had to cut a little bit out and change a little bit around, but here we go. I hope I can make it through this. I'm still breathing hard because I had to run all the way downstairs and turn the Christmas lights and run back up. So, all right. 'Twas the night before elections, when all through the states, not a shitlib was stirring. The country was great. The voters were ushered through the borders with care, in hopes that hill dogs soon would be there. The migrants were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of handouts danced in their heads. And Hill Dog in her kerchief and Bill in his cap had just settled down for an old person's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, Hill Dog sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window she ambled and coughed, tore open the shutters and continued to cough. The moon on the breast of the new's fallen snow gave the luster of midday to the Bernie bros below. When what to her wondering eyes should appear but a miniature Bernie from New York with brown hair. With a socialist outlook but a $5,000 dress, she knew in a moment it must be Ocasio-Cortez. More rapid than eagles, the Antifa they came. She whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now women, now Hispanics, now Muslims and Mexicans. On old, on poor, on the weak and the weary. To the top of their house, to the top of their wall. Now smash away, smash away, smash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they met with an obstacle, smashed to the sky. So up to the housetop, Antifa they flew, with packs full of rocks and flagpoles too. And then in a twinkling, Hill Dog heard on the roof the autistic screeching over each moral truth. And she drew in her hand and was turning around. Down the chimney, Ocasio-Cortez came with a bound. She was dressed in all fur from her head to her foot, and her clothes were all paid for with taxes and loot. A bundle of red votes had stuffed in her pack. She looked like a peddler trying to sell crack. Her eyes, how they twinkled, her dimples, how merry. Her cheeks were like roses, her nose like a cherry. A wink of her eye and a turn of her head soon gave Bill to know he had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word. She went straight to her work. She took all the delegates, then made Hill Dog watch while she gave Bill a jerk. And laying his finger at the tip of her nose, Bill gave her a nod, and up the chimney Ocasio-Cortez rose. She sprang to the roof, to Antifa gave a whistle, and away they all flew, like the down of a thistle. But I heard her exclaim, ere she drove out of sight, Merry Christmas, HSP, and to all a good night. Man, I should have saved that for the end of the show. Because it was really good night.
I'm standing. That is beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of work, and it's not going to build any goodwill with
ambitious.
So nice job.
Not going to build any goodwill with what?
The left.
Oh, yeah.
You said something about an old person's nap in there, and I thought, man, he should have done something about dispensing dirt naps.
Oh, I thought the same. Oh.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah,
you
go for
love
it, man.
her. You love her. Yeah.
I like her. Yeah.
All right,
What
Brad.
do you like?
say
I mean, I like her. I'm
No,
not
I mean,
sure.
I think in general, I think obviously she's very naive, but I think that it can be useful, and she's really anti-establishment. She's super pro workers' rights. She's lost a little bit in obviously the socialism aspect, but I think she's so malleable that I wouldn't put it past her to shift a little bit more to the right as she sort of gets older and see how things
come
work.
on, man.
I think she's malleable, and I like her energy, and I like a lot of her anti-establishment stances.
I like her teeth.
And I also think she's over memed. I think it's like as cringy as saying like, oh, there's only two genders, It's like it's too easy. Yeah. And I think it gives her unnecessary shine. I think it's like counterproductive actually to meme her as hard as the right does. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see her moving off to the right. I mean, I think that I think the reason that she's as popular as she is just simply, and same with Bernie and the other Democratic Socialists, is just that this is what happens when you actually bring a vision and you bring ideas to the table. The neo-left have no ideas. Yeah. I mean, she's at least got ideas. She at least has a vision. She's at least consistent. Is she wrong? Yeah, absolutely. But she's at least consistent, and she's at least bringing ideas, and there's at least something with which to argue. There's nothing you can argue with the neo-left with.
I like her because she badgers and terrorizes Pelosi.
Yes.
She shows up at
see,
Pelosi's office and just like makes ridiculous demands that are not even physically possible in our reality, and that makes Pelosi nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. She's totally useful.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
she is useful.
Yeah, I'm not gonna countersignal that. I personally, I just think it's funny. Like that's, I mean, like everything I just said, I think is true. But like, I think for me, the general theme is I just think she's hilarious.
Yeah. I think that, in some ways, the right treats her with the same type of contextual or uncontextualized memes and arguments that they do to Trump. And I don't allow it when they do to Trump, so then they try to take some of her quotes out of context. I'm like, listen, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But did you see that Politico had a bit of a hit piece out on her this week, and then she took to Twitter and she was complaining about it, and Don Jr. was like, hey, welcome to the club,
Red Pillis. I didn't see that. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I missed this too.
Yeah, Politico put out some hit piece on her, and then so Don Jr. retweeted her and was like, yeah, and she was like, oh, I can't believe this type of false news. She like really purposely didn't use the term fake news, but she's like false news. And Politico is very much an establishment rag, so
for sure.
I think there's some juicy division there. I can find her tweet.
Indeed. Yeah, Luke and I call her the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, she straight up is, dude. You know what?
She's a bit of a gangster, man.
How do you figure? What do you mean?
I mean, she just balls out,
Yeah, she is.
Here it is. Here she says, one disappointment about DC is the gossip that masquerades as reporting. This story has not a single named or verifiable source, only one on the record comment, which is a denial. My dad had a name for junk articles like this, birdcage lining, and she linked some Politico article about her. So it's just funny to come on the left.
Yeah, that could easily be a Trump tweet right there from the first year of the presidency.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, so man. I just think there's some overlap. And yeah, she is entertaining.
Yeah.
But she's also balls out, She really doesn't give an F.
That's true.
I respect that.
That's true. Yeah. That's
true. It'll be interesting to see if she gets broken. This is like the sort of situation when you have the new hire in the company, and he's like, "Hey guys, we're gonna come up with some initiatives, and we're gonna turn things around here, and blah blah blah." And then he slowly gets broken. You know what I mean? Over time, and then he's just like one of the dead behind the eyes sort of workers that just clocks in and out.
Well, certainly that's
she does have a very zealous kind of crusader feel about her, which is where that energy comes from. So yeah, it could go either way. She could either really shake things up or get broken.
Or both. But I mean, that hasn't happened to Trump, to be fair, because we had the right to have the exact same type of fears about Trump, that he would just be beaten down by the machinery. And, I've been looking for that. I think we all have been afraid of that it just doesn't seem to happen because Trump, on like a personal level, is such a unique character.
Yeah, but he also has a lot more experience than Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, let's be real here. He's been dealing with the media his entire career,
Mm-hmm.
And doing lead pipe business for 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and he's got his massive ego, which is a great shield for him, both a sword and a shield.
Yeah.
Indeed. I do find it really interesting how she has adopted his tactics. I do. I find that very interesting, right? In the same way that I find the left shouting about, lock him up about General Flynn, accusing him of treason, right? Well, Ocasio-Cortez is playing the same hand she's playing a different hand, but she's playing it in the same way that Trump does. I do find that interesting. I do.
Yeah, she's anti-establishment. I mean, she wants socialism, but she's still anti-establishment.
Yeah. Oh, Ocasio-Cortez, may your teeth grow longer. We mean that here at HSP. May your teeth grow longer through the years.
Imagine actually having socialism with an open borders policy. How exactly does that work?
Indeed.
Well, it's funny. This is something that we've talked about in past shows, is that it's like in many ways, the socialism is something which eats itself, right? Which is like, I'm convinced why they have to look elsewhere. This is why communism, it's like it's not enough to have an isolated country be communist. They're constantly trying to expand beyond their borders. This is like sort of the same thing in reverse. It's like trying to suck people in across your borders. And I think that it's this, I think the term I used last time was like this Shakespearean tragedy, which is like, it's a black hole of an ideology that sucks in everything around it. And the very thing which it depends upon is the very thing that's also destroying it. You bring more people into the system, you require more people to maintain it, and it's just this endless cycle until it all comes crashing down.
Well, the interesting thing is that the people who advocate for socialism, people respond to incentives. The first rule of economics. So if you start taxing the Christ out of everybody, there's a whole lot of people who are going to be like, I'm looking at column A over here, that's the benefits package, and column B, which is what I have to pay if I don't take the benefits package. And they go, I think I'm just going to quit this whole working thing. That's for suckers.
Yeah.
And that's how socialism fails, is everybody says, wait a minute, why am I? Screw that. I'm going to collect and sit back and see what happens.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Sir.
or it at least just sort of kills your will to, living in Europe. I can tell you that there is not this sense of life. There's this drive to succeed and expand and grow as a person and pursue your values that there is in the United States. Because, like, for example, this is one really good example, that the dream in Germany is you start off owning your own business and working for yourself, and then the German dream is to shut your business down and get hired either by the government or somebody else who's going to pay for your vacations and pay for all your benefits and pay a bunch of your taxes for you and all this sort of stuff. And so they have this sort of dream. I mean, I don't see a lot of people. Robert, I think you're probably giving people too much credit. I don't think they're even that rational. I think that they just sort of are a sponge to the culture and they just absorb it, and then they just reach a point where you can start your own business, but you're going to be taxed into oblivion, so you're better off working for somebody else. And
all you're describing is the middle ground that was brought on slowly through incremental change.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
that's still people responding to incentives where they're like, why would I have my own business slave to not really make that much money when I could get my government mandated vacation time and all my parental leave and all my bennies and never be fired? Yeah, of course I'm going to do that.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, okay. Those people for sure. But I think the people who don't work are just, they're not going to work regardless. They're going to figure out a way to make that work. They're going to figure out a way to make not working work.
Yeah, my talking about people who don't work, quote unquote, is just being rhetorical. It is an incentive killer is my broader point, which is exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Which
now,
is
in the
really
extreme case, if you look at Venezuela, I mean, literally people can't or won't work. And that whole thing has gone to where it always goes, which is poverty and starvation and death.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Indeed. And here on our domestic shores just this week, we have seen a really interesting turn in terms of Obamacare, right? Because Obamacare has been ruled by a judge in Fort Worth as unconstitutional, right? Based upon this literal instance of what we are talking about right now. Based upon this, right? Because here's what happened, okay? The Congress took away the individual mandate requirement in the tax package last year. So the tax is zero, right? So, okay, so if the tax is zero, then there is no tax. So out you go. It's going to be interesting, gentlemen, to see where this goes. It's going to be very interesting.
Well, it's going to go to the Supreme Court, and hopefully
Of course.
they're more conservative than they seemed lately.
Well, yeah. I mean, Roberts is boxed in. He is going to have to decide in our favor because of his previous decision. He has to, okay? The wild card is Kavanaugh, boys. The wild card is Kavanaugh, you know? And
Yeah, and didn't he make some decision recently about something? I saw a bunch of uproar online about this. I think it was it abortion?
Yeah, he refused to hear the case about abortion. Yeah.
But you called this from the very start. I don't know why everyone was up in arms about this. I mean, that's how he's always stood about abortion, isn't it, Russ? Like, we talked about this a long time ago, right when he first got nominated.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
As far as I knew, he said, right from the start, that he was interested in upholding the Constitution, relitigating things that have been set for many years and are now considered precedent.
Yes. Yep. It's
It
settled
was a
law.
veiled way to say, I'm not hearing Roe versus Wade again or anything like it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what he said. Yeah. But nonetheless, I mean, to remain germane to our conversation, it is about whether or not, right now, the United States Supreme Court will reject socialism in the same way that this glorious bastard in Fort Worth did. We'll find out. We'll find out. You know? We'll see.
Yeah, well, this is where it gets messy, too, because a lot of the abortion debate is not around whether it's legal per se, but the right likes to get in with, well, you can't force people who have a conscientious objection through religion to fund this through tax dollars. It's almost the same as this bathroom nonsense in public places. It's the problem is the socialism, not whether or not the socialism pays for X, Y, or Z. The problem with bathrooms in public places is the concept of a public place, not whether or not you let somebody with whatever equipment go into a certain room.
I do agree. Okay. All right. So we can all agree that socialism is authoritarianism. Yes? We can all agree upon this, right?
By definition.
Yes. Okay. Yep. Luke, Nate, y'all agree with
Oh,
this?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
Okay. So, you're right. You're right, Robert. It gets really, really, really messy here, right? And these decisions should have been made upon simple biology, right? And now we're at the point where authoritarianism is subverting literal biology in terms of bathrooms, okay? Now, where this ties into Obamacare, well, it's kind of similar, is it not, right? It's about you have to do this. You have to allow men into little girls' restrooms, and you have to purchase this product, whether you want to or not. You have to, right? So, are we calling the failure of authoritarianism? That made no sense. Do y'all see what I'm saying? Do y'all see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, like let's back up just a little bit to something that you said. I think that where it kind of began to get a little bit confusing is when you said the decision should have been made based upon biology. I would push back on that and say that I would push back on that and just say that it's not a decision based upon biology, because that is a form of authoritarianism. The proper way to understand it is that this is a decision based upon property rights.
Okay,
Respect property rights. All this is very clean and easy to understand if you just view it through the lens of property rights, which really falls under the umbrella of individual rights.
I do concede. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think that's the most concise way to say it. And there's relationships back to some censorship too. I see arguments online saying, well, they've put themselves out there as a public forum or a public whatever, and just like a restaurant has to follow the rules of the ADA and all this stuff because they're public. Because they open themselves to the general public, they have to follow all these federal regulations. So this is all the same problem repackaged in different contexts, which, as Luke pointed out, is the failure to respect individual rights and, by extension, property rights.
Indeed.
Yeah. You have to find the unifying tying element. Sorry, Nate, go ahead.
Well, the individual mandate is repealed, So I don't really know what binds people to having to use Obamacare now. If they don't want to, they don't have to. But it's a matter of supply and demand. And, the idea is to get them better health care. It's not about them having to pay or not having to pay.
I think my general objection remains that basically this is a form of socialized medicine, not because of any individual mandate, but because if it comes up short, where's the money to fund it going to come from? Straight out of my paycheck, period.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm being forced to buy something I don't want anymore. That was the beginning, but now I'm forced to still, as usual, pay for something for someone else that I don't care to pay for.
I was trying to understand this, and yeah, you just...
Yep, that's it.
Those two commentaries just tied that together. Okay, I get it now.
Yep.
People can get great health care if they get a job that gives them health care. And if you're desperate, you could always join the military and you get free health care for life. It's a pretty damn good deal.
Yeah.
It's shit.
Please see your local Marine Corps recruiting office today.
The healthcare is shit. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's our new sponsors at HSP is the Marine Corps.
Indeed, sir.
Brought to you by Mad Dog Mattis.
Oh, shit. Okay. All right. Here's a new topic. Nate, I've been dying to hear your thoughts about Mad Dog. What do you think?
Well, I think that he served, in distinction. I think he was a great appointee by Trump. I think he was a great SecDef, and now he's done. And I think that's fine. I don't think there's any outrage about it. Apparently his term was longer than the last 3 SecDefs for Obama. So,
that's
there's
correct.
A little bit of whataboutism for you.
Yeah.
But, I think he was great. And I think Trump needed a guy just like that. And it was a great fucking pick.
Yeah.
And, I was disappointed the way he went out with his letter. But I understand that he was a bit dovish on Iran. Obviously, you can't describe Trump as being dovish on Iran. So, yeah, I'm sure. I don't know who he's going to be the next one, but I have no fears about it at all. And I have a lot of respect for General Mattis.
Same here. Luke and I blew this out last night on the Friday Night Comfy post. I had great exception with his letter, big time, right? I think the most intelligent comment I've heard about this thus far came from, and I didn't tell you this last night, Luke. I didn't tell you this, but the greatest comment I've heard so far was from Father John, who was supposed to be here today, but, he punked out, and the 4 of us continue in his stead, along with Ryan, who also punked out. Punks. What in the hell was the God Emperor thinking by appointing an Army general and a Marine general to the cabinet in the first place, right? What in the hell was he thinking? Although I do agree, they red-pilled Lindsey Graham with simply a glance at the McCain funeral. Now Lindsey Graham is great again. Y'all seen that, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
wait, just be sure on that one.
Say it again.
No, I'm trying to. What do you mean? What happened with Lindsey Graham and the McCain funeral?
Okay, I'll send you a video. I'll send you a video. Yeah, first of all, I cannot believe I did not
Lindsey
put
Graham
this.
got red pilled during the Kavanaugh hearings.
He got red pilled at McCain's funeral, and I will show you exactly when it happened. Yeah. It's like mad dogging Lindsey Graham as Huma Abedin
No,
comes
I saw
up
that.
and
I saw that. Yeah,
Okay.
I do remember that.
Okay.
You give him a little nod.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I want to talk about Lindsey Graham too.
Oh, bring it. All right, what you got?
No, I mean finish your point.
My point
Let's
is simply
keep talking
this.
about Mad Dog for now.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, my point is simply this. I appreciate their service. I'm not sure that they were the appropriate picks in the first place, but they did good work. They did. And, in the case of General Kelly, I think he really kept the God Emperor on message. And, I trust Mick Mulvaney, his successor, unequivocally.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, unequivocally, right? But we will find out whether or not it took a military man to keep the God Emperor in check. We will find out. I do think Mick Mulvaney is a towering intellect, much smarter than General Kelly. And anyways, I had no point, gentlemen. My point is only this. I appreciate their service. I do. Yeah. I think they outlived their use. Yeah.
I definitely, my take on it, I definitely echo all of Nate's sentiments toward Mattis. If I could expand upon the commentary on his resignation letter, we talked a little bit about this last night, Russ, is that he wrote something to the effect of like, we should not give up on the proxy war. Basically what he said is we shouldn't give up on the proxy war with Russia and China because they will assert authoritarian control over those countries. So basically, like, we shouldn't give up on neocon foreign policy is what he stated in the letter, and that was his impetus for leaving, which was I was honestly pretty surprised and pretty disappointed. But I mean, I still echo all of Nate's sentiments that
Same here.
I think he was a great pick, and I think he, while he was there, he did good work.
I mean, we beat
I would say related to all the idea that off the campaign, the Make America Great thing. He was a great choice. All these military guys were great choices because it was part of Trump's like, we're going to do it different. We're tough. We're going to be great again. They had their chance to influence him, and they did to some extent. Trump got left with kind of a bad taste in his mouth in some of these instances. So now he's evolved and he's moving beyond them. And he's doing it because he's starting to see that guys like Mattis are indeed still caught in conventional foreign policy. And Trump's trying to do it different. He's trying to say the only reason that you have to play it the way you're trying to play it is because you always play it that way. And we're not doing that anymore.
You only know war. You only know war. And meanwhile, Trump wants to get us the fuck out of Syria and Afghanistan, and I completely approve. But Mad Dog doesn't want that. Agreed entirely, Robert. Agreed. Yeah.
I do think
it's a natural progression, and it was a good time to make a
agreed.
Closing on that.
Yeah, I agree with everything everybody has said so far. But I think Mattis, I agree with his decision. I think that he had a moral obligation to leave if he has like that deep of a disagreement with foreign policy with Trump. I think all of it was the right thing.
Yes, sir.
Like start to finish.
I may not agree with his take on the Kurds in Afghanistan and everything else, but I do salute him for, exactly as you say, having that moral responsibility to say, all right, I do not agree with the administration. I need to step down.
Well, yeah, but I think in some sense he was just playing politics a little bit, which disappointed me. I liked him there because he might disagree with Trump on some stuff. I want Trump to be surrounded by people who will give him different opinions, and he likes that, and he thrives on it. So
but this wasn't your call. This was Mattis's call, and if he felt that strongly that he was not in agreement with the direction the president wants to go, he's got to leave.
Yeah, but I like to think that Trump said
he found his line in the sand where he said, "All right, this is too much." And so we're saying he has moral integrity for doing that, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, but I think he also could have said, "Listen, I disagree, and this is why. If you want me to resign, I will." But I mean, he just voluntarily resigned. But I'm curious what his thoughts are, because I mean, I'm sure Trump listened to him first, but
I think I saw. God, wish I saved this article when I read it. It's like I read so many articles, and a lot of times it's like I'm in the middle of something and I just don't have time to throw it in the show prep. But I want to say I read something where like Trump was set on pulling out of Syria, and Mattis was basically, mounted one last hurrah to try and convince him not to.
I read that. Yep. I read
Trump,
the same.
And Trump decided, no, we are going to move forward. And he said, okay, if so, then I have an obligation to resign. And Trump accepted that, and they parted ways. That's what I understand to be
Same here.
the case.
I read that too.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Seems pretty fair.
Yeah.
But if you look at the type of progress we made with North Korea, I mean, that obviously had a lot to do with our military. And then we also BTFO'd ISIS.
Yeah.
And so I think Mattis did a good job.
I do too.
For sure.
I do too.
And he was also palatable to liberals, which is important.
Well, I would push back a little bit. I mean, he was not always palatable to liberals. All right. That's got to be Shady Nate.
Yeah. No, he was more palatable to liberals.
Well, yeah, he was, but he was not so palatable until he resigned, and Nancy Pelosi wags his resignation letter in front of the media 2 nights ago. Well, yeah, 2 nights ago, So, yeah.
I think it will be interesting to see if Mattis is chirping, after the fact, after he actually resigns in January, February.
Yeah.
Whether they let him use him as a source on stuff, and he comes out with
that's a good point, man.
Hit pieces.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to see if that happens.
I've thought the same. I'm curious to see where this goes. If he ends up as a contributor to MSNBC or MSNBC or whatever, I'm curious.
But if he retires,
that would be that would be disappointing, as if he pulled that kind of thing. To me, I interpreted his letter as more a bit of butthurt bleeding out the sides.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm this general of the Marine Corps. I've got all this experience, and you won't listen to me. So, thanks for the opportunity. It's been great, but I'm out. I'm not going to say anything good about you because my ego's offended right now.
A little bit.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. Time will tell. It's really interesting, right? Okay, Father John's exception to their appointments in the first place was because they're the ones giving commands, right? Their orders must be followed to the letter under extreme penalty, right? Well, now all of a sudden, they're in an environment where their order doesn't fucking matter at all. There's only one order that matters, and that's the God Emperor's. So, ego is the right word, Robert. I wonder that if it was a refusal to supplicate his ego any further, and it wasn't about principle at all. I wonder. And time will tell. Time will tell. So,
well, I'm sure Trump's ego was involved as well.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, I think ego's all over.
Yeah.
Part of it's moral, part of it's ego. If you think this is almost like our conversation about the motive of the leftists, if you think you're right and people won't listen to you,
that's so
you either stay in place and try to do something subversive, which is the weaselly left way, or you say, all right, we don't agree and you're not listening to me and I think I'm right, so I've got to go.
That's so good. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how ego and morality, I don't know, morality you can make ego look like morality when it's really just ego.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a common trap.
Yeah. That's it.
But I do want to say that Mick Mulvaney is like the biggest MAGA head on the planet.
He is.
And he's a numbers guy.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be good for the, in general, you would say it's like pro-economy to have Mick Mulvaney as your chief of staff.
Yeah.
Dude, red pill me on this. What like Mick Mulvaney, lift the veil on this topic.
He's the White House budget director, and then he also took over the, what is it, Russ? The CPFB, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Consumer Protection Financial Bureau. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he took that over. So Trump, has him do all the tough jobs, and he's a super hard worker. He works like 20-hour days, and he's just always he's all about MAGAnomics.
Yeah, he is.
So he's very much Trump's numbers guy. He's a GDP guy. He's my kind of guy.
Yeah.
He looks like an accountant. Is he an accountant?
Yeah.
I'm not certain. I would say that he is far beyond accountant, Robert. He's kind of like you. I mean, Nate and I have watched this bastard work out statistics in his head about unemployment numbers on the spot in front of the press. Oh, yeah. Okay, I do want to talk about unemployment numbers. Okay, so we're talking about 50 million underemployed. Okay, let me work out this math. Okay, now, so we brought it down by 2 million. Okay, so now we're talking about 48. It's incredible. He is a true intellect like yourself, Robert. He really is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a smart dude.
Yeah.
And he loves numbers. Yeah.
He does.
But
yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's going to be really different than General Kelly. But yeah, I think the ship kind of just ran its course on that one. I think it's fine. A little turnover is fine, and that's That's how Trump runs his businesses anyway.
Always.
But the left, wants to manufacture an outrage about everything, and obviously, I would assume we're not really buying in for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get outraged when he appoints people, and then they act like it's a tragedy when he lets them go.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Like he's, it's just a further attempt to paint him as irrational. Like, oh, he just lost yet another person who was a dissenting voice in his cabinet, and the only thing keeping him from launching nuclear weapons and everything.
The White House is in chaos. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, White House in chaos. If I could count how many times I've seen that happen.
Indeed, sir.
Yeah, I was telling Russ, I was walking to work and the Cryon, I looked through a window and there was the CNN Cryon the other day, Friday, and it was, government careening towards partial shutdown. And I was like, man, careening? Careening?
Yeah, I saw one that had hurtling.
Yeah.
Like it's just this giant mass, like a big spaceship out of control about to crash into.
Yeah, exactly.
Tumbling end over end into the gravity well.
Indeed.
Man, this is really interesting. I'm reading about Mulvaney right now. Why I don't know anything. Reading about him. I listened to Yarn Brooks' podcast, which is Nate. I don't know if you're familiar with him. I know Russ and Robert are, but he's the former CEO and now chairman of the board for the Ayn Rand Institute. And he talks about how he has been told that somebody in the White House is listening to him, listening to his show.
Really?
And
you didn't tell me that, huh?
Yeah. And well, I didn't even think to, but I'm reading an article about Mick Mulvaney.
I'm sure it's Mick.
It's a Politico article, and talking about apparently in an interview, Mick Mulvaney said he still keeps a copy of Atlas Shrugged in his office.
Yeah,
and
he's the one.
It's got to be, man, because there was somebody else. It was somebody who's like the head of labor relations or something like this that was just saying all this nonsense in some sort of a speech or some sort of a talk, and apparently it must have been Mulvaney like came down on that guy and basically just red pilled him. Is like, you have no idea what you're talking about. If you want to stay around here, you need to like basically shape up or ship out and like learn some economics. And so I'm just like, I'm piecing it all together now. It's just, I don't know. It's really interesting.
It is, man. It is. Moves and counter moves.
Yeah, Mulvaney is a soldier. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, he is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, politically, I don't agree with him about everything, but nonetheless, his reasoning about everything I find unassailable every which way, So I suppose I do agree with him about everything.
Man, I'm excited. Like after the show, I'm going to like look him up and watch some YouTube stuff on him.
Yeah, he's a great bastard. He is.
Yeah, he's done some, he did some White House press conferences too.
Yeah, that was what I was referring to, Luke. When
I've definitely seen his face. I've seen him before.
Okay,
for sure.
Yeah. So
I've been a big fan of his.
Yeah, me too. I'm a fanboy. I am. Yeah. So like,
he's just so nerdy.
He is, but he is so god tier in command. Yeah. I've never seen his like anywhere except for possibly Robert, but Robert is really different from Mick. Really different, So
Mulvaney will be a great foil for Trump, for sure.
Huh. That's That's a good point.
You think about how different they are.
Yeah, they are.
It'll be good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he has always been in the inner circle since the very beginning, like Kellyanne, like, Bannon used to be until he, kind of effed up. And he's always been there in the inner orbit, like, Sarah Huck, he's one of them, like, like our boy Steve, man, like our boy Steve. And yeah.
I hope at the end of Trump's first term here, somebody puts together some kind of cast of characters timeline, because this is like Game of Thrones, man. There's so many people.
It is Game of Thrones shit. It is.
Robert, like I think it must have been show 8 or 9 or 10, and Russ. I mean, Russ, to your credit, like does all the work and understanding who these people are, and there's so many names, dude. So many. I mean, people that aren't even involved, like in the inner circle. I mean, Mueller and Rosenstein and Strzok and this and that and this person and that person. And I got so frustrated one week, a few months ago, and I must have spent I swear, dude, I must have spent 6 or 8 hours just linking from Wikipedia page to Wikipedia page and just reading them in their entirety. And I still have a hard time keeping it all organized. It's so many people, and it changes so fast. But the thing is I feel like this happens a lot. I mean, and I say I feel like because I don't really know, but it seems like this happens with every presidency. It's just they're just using this presidency as like they're just using this as an opportunity to sort of highlight it and create this sort of scene of chaos.
Yes, sir.
Again, it's the media grasping at straws for any indictment they can make.
Right.
Yep. Like, the White House gardener says he wouldn't take the job again.
Yeah.
That literally happened. Yeah.
Trump presidency has gone through more White House window washers than any other presidency in American history.
Trump's Windex bill, $22,000.
Oh, yes.
He had Air Force One feature only Diet Coke and no.
Yeah.
$10,000.
The annual Congress picnic is to serve only Trump steaks this year.
Indeed, gentlemen. Indeed.
Speaking of steaks, what do you guys think about the farm bill that got passed?
I will be honest.
This is a good seg because this, back to the Mattis thing briefly. This is, I think, the way this went down is he and Mattis had pulling out of Syria.
Lost you, Robert. Say it again. Again, please.
Yeah, we lost you, Robert.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this little amplifier is acting up again. But with the Mattis thing, my understanding of the story was those two met, and he tried to talk him out of pulling out of Syria, and he's like, no, I'm not doing that. Then he goes over to the Farm Bill and announces publicly, hey, we're coming home from Syria.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So that's a good seg, from the Mad Dog over to the Farm Bill was actually right in the middle of all this.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Huh, yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently we're legalizing hemp, so
yeah, we are.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. Absolutely. It is a carbon neutral product. It does not cause things like the Dust Bowl. It is God tier in comparison to cotton. And don't get me wrong, I love cotton, but hemp does not kill the soil in the same way as cotton. And it's one of these pork bills, Nate. Okay, there are a lot of things I like about it, and there's a lot of shit I just don't. Right? I mean, man, what is it? An $840 billion bill? Is that right? I think so.
I'm reading about it right now, and of course, you can't even find the number in this. Really terribly written article on Vox that I'm reading right now.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I think it's 840 bill, which makes the whole fighting for 5.7 bill for the wall all the more absurd. You know what I mean? Sure. Nonetheless, I love our farmers. You know what I mean? I don't think the government should support them, I think were they really, truly smart, they would be millionaires. And Ryan could attest to that were he not to punk out today. But he did. But Ryan could attest, you know.
This is another situation where the government has distorted the market. The farmers will say that they literally can't survive without these bills, but the government's created that situation in the first place. Basically, 100 years of this kind of politics.
Indeed, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, in general, I don't know anything about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading about it. It's so hard to find information on this stuff. This is why the media does such a poor job. I mean, like I'll read one paragraph. So this is a subheadline within this article called "And Here's What Isn't in the Farm Bill." Animal advocates' greatest fear going into the Farm Bill debate was that it would include a provision known as the King Amendment, named after Iowa Representative Steve King. King has been widely criticized, including by his fellow Republicans, for his far-right ties and sympathy for white supremacists. He's also an ardent opponent of animal rights and wanted to use the Farm Bill to prohibit states from setting their own animal welfare standards. Like, that literally doesn't say anything about what isn't.
Yeah.
It just talks about some Republican congressman accuses him of being a white supremacist and said that he wanted to use it to oppose animal rights. I mean,
yeah.
It's like this is that entire article. It's just absolutely terrible journalism.
Yeah, that article is about Steve King. It's not about the Farm Bill, right? And you know, because Steve King, whom I do love, he is a lightning rod, and he does not support the alt-right. He does not support white supremacists. This is all nonsense, all of it, right? It's used to. This article was written in the guise of the Farm Bill in order to discredit Steve King. Yeah. Republican from Iowa, dear listener. Republican from Iowa. Yeah.
But I mean, you know, you can argue that the farmers need help because of tariffs and whatnot. And I think that's fine. And I don't, you know, if the government's going to offer a bailout to anyone, you know, I'd rather it be farmers than fucking banks.
Agreed.
So, you know, I have a pretty simplistic view about it, but I think it's a win. And I think it's interesting how it just goes under the radar completely for the most part.
Yeah, I'm reading about it. So it failed in May. Back in May, they tried to pass it.
That's correct.
By the way, to answer your question, Russ, it was $867 billion in May.
Okay.
And it failed. All Democrats and 30 Republicans voted against it. Republican opposition came from the Freedom Caucus over liberalization of the immigration policy. And then, quoting here Jim Jordan, my main focus was making sure we do immigration policy right. So, and then Democratic opposition was due to the proposed changes to attached supplemental nutritional SNAP, of course, supplemental nutrition assistance program that would impose work requirements, God forbid.
There's no dignity in work.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I would assume one of those two things, or perhaps both, changed. I don't know, especially considering it's, more. Well, it's not Democrat controlled yet, I guess, not till January. So
I do know that SNAP got a bailout in the Farm Bill, right? So like we're going to be paying for that fucking bastard in San Diego who's like, yeah, thanks taxpayers, thanks for paying for me to live, brah. Thanks for letting me get lobster every day while I surf all day. This is true. SNAP got a bailout.
Yeah, here we go. On September 30th, some of the provisions from the 2014 Farm Bill expired without a replacement. Other provisions are funded through the end of the calendar year 2018. Sticking points were said to be SNAP work requirements, commodity and energy policy, funding, and cotton and other crop subsidies. Bloomberg reported in late November that a compromise had been reached, removing SNAP work requirements. So there you go. And the legislation could be voted by the end of the year. So long story short, the right cucked, and now it's passed.
Yep, that's right. Yep. And
so this speaks to a needed procedure change in our Congress, which can't create a bill called the Farm Bill and then put a bunch of other shit in there that's totally unrelated to farming.
Indeed, sir.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, energy policy, SNAP work requirements. I mean, come on, like that. Yeah, I mean, you could very abstractly and tangentially relate these things, but you could do that with literally anything. So
Yeah, everything in reality is connected, but that doesn't mean they all
Yeah.
belong in the same bill.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll continue here. So the bill largely continues current farm and nutrition policy and does not include new requirements for SNAP recipients. Incorporating some of the text of the Hemp Farming Act of 2018, the bill descheduled some cannabis products from the Controlled Substances Act for the first time.
Wait.
This
Hold up. Say that. Say that again. Say that again.
incorporating some of the text of the Hemp Farming Act of
Okay.
2018.
Got it.
The Farm Bill descheduled some cannabis products from the Controlled Substances Act for the first time.
Yeah. It's hemp rope and hemp paper, which is great. Great. We need that. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, the estimate puts the U.S. CBD market from 2.3 billion to 23 billion by the 2020s, enabled by this Farm Bill.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and additional revenues to farmers and processors is expected from textiles and other hemp products. So, yeah, I mean, more freedom in some respects, and then more handouts in other respects.
Yes,
is
sir.
Kind of what I take from this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then $867 billion going. I don't know where.
Yeah.
Well, just the hemp
What
part
else?
must have caused the left some dissonance because there are four everything hemp related, right? They're all about marijuana.
Yeah.
And yet they hate farmers because people in rural areas typically don't vote leftist.
Good point, sir. Good
This
point.
is one thing.
That's got to be part of why they had trouble swallowing to begin with.
This is one thing that I love about Trump is like he doesn't have the sort of like preconditions to his policy making, his ideas. He's sort of. I think this is why, like the Trump
Pro-business.
Yeah, he's pro-business, but I mean, you kind of never know. Trump's just sort of like, it's like Tucker Carlson put it one time in an interview where he was like, every president, they'll argue about like what NATO should be doing, how much money we should be giving NATO and this sort of thing. But President Trump, he's so from the outside world that he's just like, why do we even have NATO? Like, so with Trump, it's just, you never know. And these leftists, it's just, they can't predict what he's going to do. You know what I mean? And I think it's really funny because they're constantly on their toes trying to figure out it's how they feel about things because they don't really think about anything. So it's like, oh man, Trump said this. How do I feel about that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I mean, very generally, if the government is going to give $800 billion to someone, I'd rather it be our farmers than fucking Saudi Arabia.
Agreed, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
we
think
should
it'll be
giving
good for our
$0.
economy.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I actually had a leftist at my work party, and I was like, babe, what about the economy? Unemployment, GDP.
All right.
She goes,
First,
yeah.
let's back up.
Hello?
Did you call her babe? Did you do that?
I mean, I probably did, yeah.
Oh, good.
I was going to say, I was like, how did you even get past that?
No, I mean, yeah.
Go on, sir. Sorry.
I make them allow me to do that. You got, it's all about the delivery.
Yeah.
That's true.
But she literally
frame,
says,
man,
thank you. Hey, I'm doing my part.
you got to make them find you attractive. Then you're Chad and you whatever you want. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Rule number 1 and rule number 2.
Yeah.
But no, she said, oh, really? The stock market though? And I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Because whenever Trump would use that talking point when it was up, obviously, they shift completely on it.
Yeah.
But I actually had someone say, oh, the stock market though. So it was just kind of funny.
Yeah.
You should have just said, what is the stock market? And then just see like the
stock market that we've all been, that we've all known has been bloated for since the huge Obama bailouts.
Indeed, sir.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So, I mean, we've all been saying, man, I don't know, the market's going to crash. And it never happens. And then it finally goes down a little bit. We're still up since Trump became president, of course.
Yeah.
But I think where it stands now, and the year's not over, it's been a terrible year. But again, it's all been like in the last 2 months after the Democrats took control of the House. So riddle me that one.
Yeah.
I don't think investors liked the Democrats taking control of the House. I'll be honest.
I'm totally unqualified to say that this is the case, but I wonder if there's also something, we were talking earlier about this like dark cloud over a Trump presidency and how they need to maintain that. I wonder if this is just straight up just deliberate, like, okay, cool, let's pop the bubble now,
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, yeah,
I
the
think
Fed
so.
is playing that role, of course.
Yep. Yeah, it's really about the Fed, gentlemen, right? Okay, what the market truly is responding to is the Fed's foolish decision to raise interest rates, right? All right, I don't want to get into it right now, but what I do find interesting is that for the first time since Andrew fucking Jackson, we have a president who is calling out the Fed, right? At every turn. Mick Mulvaney himself was like, okay, every time we put runs on the board, the Fed raises interest rates and nullifies them. Okay. The problem really is that interest rates have been kept artificially low for way too long, right? Now they're trying to raise them to pop.
So they're raising them too fast.
Yes. Yep.
It's not, my buddy made an argument to me, well, the interest rates have to come back up. I was like, okay, fine. But they don't have to come back up as much as they are, as quickly as they are.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. And on the front page of Zero Hedge right now, Trump considering firing Jerome Powell. Yeah. We'll see where that goes. I'm not going to read it, but he is considering firing the chairman of the Fed.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's got 90,000 reads right now, at this moment. Yeah, so
if he's gonna do it, he needs to do it soon.
Agreed, sir. Agreed.
Like he needs to move fast on that one. Which again, another positive about Trump is that he generally does not. It tends not to wait on things like this.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, yes and no. I think he waited too long to fire Jeff Sessions. I think he's waiting too long to fire Rod Rosenstein.
Goddamn right.
So,
goddamn right. And he is not.
One of the most grievous errors Republicans made was like 6 months before the midterms, they just stopped doing anything because everyone had eyes on the midterms.
Yeah.
But never did they realize that it's going to be easier to pass stuff then if we lose the House.
Agreed.
And then we lost the House.
Agreed.
At least we've seen a lot of action lately.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that was sort of stored up from before the midterms because everything was on hold for the midterms. And I think the Republicans were a little bit complacent there.
Agreed, sir. Entirely. Yeah.
But the fundamentals of the economy, I think are great. So our GDP, you saw, got revised last quarter, their final revisement, I think to 3.4.
Yep.
And then obviously unemployment, wages are rising across many different metrics.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be really cool to see all the artificial suppressing of our economy and have it go up against Trump economy fundamentals.
Yeah.
It's going to be fucking awesome because I think we're going to be able to hold out.
I agree.
Hold the line.
I agree.
Yeah, just got to keep working, boys.
Yeah. Damn right. Keep capitalizing. Always. Yep. And buy metals. So there's that. Yeah.
I looked at the gold year over year, and it wasn't even up on the year, really. I was surprised.
It's performing poorly, except for this week. It's up a lot right now. You know what I mean? But I am upside down on my gold and silver. I'll just put it that way. So I just buy more. That's what I do.
I think it's a great time to buy stocks too. Shit. Well, I said the same thing last week.
Well, buy banks. All right. Dear listener, this is not financial advice, okay? We're just shit posting and talking to each other about what to do for ourselves, right? But I think it's a great time to buy banks and financials right now, and GE. I think it's a great time to buy GE right now, just me. Luke, you had
where you at on your cryptos right now, Russ?
I am so fucking upside down. Dude, Okay, I went into the black or into the red rather, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and this black hole just continues. Nonetheless, I hold the line, man. I am a believer in cryptos. I'm a believer, but dude, it is so painful. It is so
Dude,
painful.
what are the other cryptos doing? I have not looked at the crypto markets in weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, is it the
I
whole
don't think you
market
need
that's
to.
cratering
Yes, sir.
right now, or is it just Bitcoin?
No, it's all of it. It's all of it. Ethereum is below 100.
So bizarre, dude. Because
Yeah.
you'd think while the U.S. stock market is, I mean, I wouldn't say collapsing, but while it's going down, I mean, you would think that something, whether it's cryptos or gold or precious metal, some precious metals, the precious metals, cryptos, these things, you'd think something was going up, but it seems like it's all just, with exception maybe to gold, but even then, not much.
Yeah.
It's all just going down.
Yeah.
Just all of it.
Yeah.
It's really
yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah, man. Retail sales are down. Okay. Online sales are down despite what they tell you. They are. Okay. Housing is so far down year over year, month by month. It is so far down, right? But, the one thing that is kind of maintaining are metals right now. That's it. Cryptos.
Man,
Cryptos.
I gotta get some money in my gold money account, dude.
Yeah,
I've had that
damn
thing
right.
open for
You and
months
me
and I
both.
haven't funded it yet.
You and me both. I know. Me too. Me too. Hashtag me too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, our economy's been running on debt, so this is always inevitable.
Indeed,
But I
sir.
wouldn't buy financials. I'm no expert, but I would not buy financials.
Really?
I would invest in American companies, though. Probably small businesses.
Yeah, Ford. I like Ford. They pay dividends, and they're really down right now. So yeah, buy Ford. You know what I mean? I would not buy tech myself. Just me. That's all I'm saying. I would not buy tech, but I would buy real American industry, which pays dividends. Right? That's what I would do. See, this is why I wish Ryan was here and he punked out like a little bitch. I mean, because Ryan could red pill us on this right now in 2 sentences, But instead,
This is admittedly outside of my wheelhouse, and I come from a family of financial planners, so I have no desire to start talking about.
Yeah.
My family's just going to BTFO me. I know. I can already see it.
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting for it. Yeah. And by the
I'm
way,
speaking
Luke's
as
family.
a layman myself.
Go
which
ahead.
I'm fine with.
Say it again.
I said I'm speaking as a layman myself.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah. All right, let's get up out of here.
There was. Oh man, there was something I was going to ask Nate. It was something about something that Trump is doing. I'll remember it. And you have something that you wanted to move on to, Rob?
No, I don't. Quite frankly, I think we have slain everything we have brought up. Robert is awkwardly silent over there. So, Robert, what you want to talk about, bro? What you got?
I'm just quiet because I don't really have anything constructive to add to the what best discussion.
Okay.
But if you want to take it back to the broader topic of raising interest rates and whether that torpedoes the economy and all that, I think the broad theory here has been that, during the Obama bailout time with the 2008 crisis of debt, they were trying to keep interest low to stimulate the economy, quote unquote, and that it just never came back up.
True.
So there's this view, I think the more educated people at the Fed certainly hold it, and a lot of people in the government, that it's just a time bomb and we've got to get the interest rates up because nobody's saving anything. Because again, people respond to incentives. And the debt levels, so they've come down a little bit. The personal debt levels of Americans have come down a little bit. There's signs that they're going back up again.
Yeah.
So we've got to give people some incentives to save and not just spend. The thought of the low interest rates is to give them an incentive to look for other investment vehicles, which is what's bloated the stock market. So people who have money are putting it into stocks or real estate or whatever. But ultimately, they're trying to outsmart the market again, and it doesn't work. It's never worked. It can't work. And they're hoping they can sort of back off that before it blows up in their face big time. So anytime they get gains in the economy, they're going to start nudge that up because they know that they've got to pay the piper here.
I see. So, okay, so you're asserting the case that. So whereas I was wondering if this was politically motivated, that this was an expedient time to do this, what you're saying is that when the economy grows, when things are going generally well, okay, let's use that as essentially a buffer to bring interest rates up a little bit.
Yeah, you can make things more expensive when everybody's got money.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're spending China's money and we're spending money we haven't even made.
Yep.
And go on. So
Yeah.
Got to start cutting back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. But then I think you can argue that Fed is doing it too quickly and all at once, which I would argue is. Yeah,
some people will argue any raises too quickly, and there is no right answer or problem.
Well, okay. First of all, I think a fair interest rate is 5%. Okay. Now, Robert, I'm going to push back just ever so slightly, just a little bit. Okay. If we raise rates right now, we also raise rates upon treasuries, which is our debt. Okay. We're already at, last I calculated, $680 billion per year on the debt. Everybody's like harshing Trump for running up so much debt. Oh my God. Right. He inherited that debt and now it is out of control. And if we raise the rates, then we raise interest upon our own debt. Nonetheless, I entirely agree with you upon the premise that you should be able to buy a CD for $100,000 and count on it gaining 5% year over year and roll it over year, right? You should be able to do that. So I do agree.
Yeah, I don't know where you're pulling 5% from, probably just from your historical experience.
Yes, indeed.
The point is, and I'm going to sound like a broken record here, the interest rates or how long we leave them low. The fact is, the problem is we're trying to manipulate them at all.
Yep. The Fed is indeed the problem. Yes, it is.
So again, saying that we're going too fast or too slow or it's not the right time, July, or we got to do it next year or this year, whatever. Deck chairs on the Titanic again.
Again, yeah, agreed, sir. Can we all agree that Ron Paul was right? Can we all agree upon that? Probably not.
I mean, I'm definitely a free market guy, and I would like to see the market determine interest rates for sure.
Yep.
Well, killed that one, I guess.
We killed it about 10 minutes ago.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I do. Okay, I remember this, but I'm glad we did this because it reminded me of what I wanted.
Good.
What I wanted to ask about was this budget. That if I do have a legit, if I do have a legitimate complaint about Trump, it's that while he has spent time deregulating the economy and doing things that are generally in the interest of the economy, and I think that's great. One thing that I have been disappointed in, Russ, you and I have talked about this on previous shows, is the fact that he's just spending more. He hasn't tried to shrink government or pay off debt or try to get us out of this mess, right? So when you were talking about the interest rates going up on our treasuries and our debt, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, well, why does it really even matter? Because we're not paying off our debt anyways, right?
True.
We're taking on more debt. So why, who even cares? I mean, you could even at that point make the argument for accelerationism, so
right.
I don't know. I'm just sort of throwing this out there to get everyone's response on just like, why isn't Trump trying to tackle the debt? It just seems like, he's a businessman. He knows about these things. This is why he was elected, is that he's an outsider and he's finally going to take care of this and he knows how to do it. And then he spends more money and puts us more into debt, So I don't know, maybe I'm just going to throw that out there. Whoever wants to take
He was
that.
always going to be a spender.
Yeah, the only difference with him is what he's willing to spend on.
Why?
Yeah,
What makes you say that?
Make money.
What? Yeah, what makes you? Oh, I see. Okay, it's to spend money to make money mentality. Okay, well that's fair. I never.
I think there's also the government should benefit the people, defend the United States, and it should be America first was the slogan. So it's not about, we shouldn't be spending. It's like we should spend on a wall, and we should spend on the military, and we should make Space Force, and we should do things that benefit our security and grow our economy.
Okay. I think the problem here is that I just misinterpreted basically his entire, like, I don't know. I always got the vibe that it was like this. He's a businessman, and and I was just thinking, like, yeah, he's a businessman. Great, cool. Like, he's gonna shrink the size of the economy and like start paying off debt. Things a businessman would do, because if he's concerned about his business staying in business. And I guess I just misinterpreted all of it, and maybe this is the way it was supposed to be in his eyes all along.
Well, what you really did is project, and that's the danger that everyone who supports Trump is facing, is that we've all projected our hopes and dreams onto him, and he's not shared them.
That's
he did mention it more than 0 times when campaigning, to be fair, that he would, balance the budget, or, and I'm sure he does have an eye towards the budget, but I think having so much money at his disposal is just all a bit too much for him.
Well, balancing the budget's not the same as cutting spending.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I was not. Yeah. I mean, I was under the impression, generally speaking, that, and I don't know if I was projecting. I don't know if I heard it in Trump campaign slogan and then forgot about it later, but, retained the interpretation of it, sans the source material. But, I mean, I just understood it to be that he was just generally concerned about balancing the budget and making sure that, like, our entire country is not going to crater in 20 years or 40 years. But again, I could have just totally misinterpreted something. But I mean, as Nate is saying this, I'm wondering if maybe I heard that somewhere, and that's where I got it from, is from his own words.
He certainly talked about bringing down the trade deficit, and I'm sure he segued over into the budget, or at least implied it. And we haven't seen the trade deficit, I guess, go down in the direction we want yet.
No, not yet. But gentlemen, really the fact of the matter is this, okay? Previous to 1913, we had no income tax, which now funds the government. We were a mercantilist society, reliant upon trade. That's how we funded our government prior to 1913.
Yeah, and our government was much smaller with far fewer duties or responsibilities, as everyone tends to call it.
Indeed, sir.
Right.
Indeed.
So one begets the other. And let me give an example of it, just to go back to the projection thing. And I'm not trying to say Luke's like the one irrational person who projected on Trump here. What I saw in him was like, oh, look at all these things he's saying. He's going to dismantle the government. Awesome. He's going to shrink government's influence in our lives. And that may not be true either. He has cut some red tape for business, but he's not exactly rolling back all these welfare agencies or anything.
True.
He's not doing what I hoped he would do, which is just like shrink the size of the cabinet agencies and reduce all this bureaucracy. Mostly it's been a pro-business, okay, let's make it easier to do business kind of shrinking of the government, not a let's maintain or sustain or reinvigorate individual rights kind of shrinking of the government.
Agreed, sir. Entirely. I mean, I think overall, the fact of the matter is that, like, listen, I love this bastard. I love the God Emperor. But I think in every which way, he's not getting it done right now. He's not getting it done.
Dude, like, Russ, we've talked about this. On past shows, I say this a lot. Like, we've talked about this. Like, we knew all along Trump was not necessarily in every capacity going to be our guy. We've always known this, or at least I've always known this. I was hoping he would set a template, and maybe he still is. I don't know, but like a template for like what's happened with Lindsey Graham, which we still have to talk about Lindsey Graham because Nate wanted to talk about him. But Lindsey Graham gets red pilled, and now he's straightening his tie. And this is the template I was hoping that Trump would set. Is this? Hey, if you loosen up regulations on business, that literally sets our economy on fire, and people are more productive, working, jobs are being created. Government doesn't create jobs, businesses create jobs. but you have to let them create jobs. They have to be free to create jobs, and not useless jobs, not
Yes,
jobs
sir.
of like, oh, how do we meet this government regulation? That is not a value creating job. I mean,
Yes, sir.
real, actual value creating jobs. They're creating a value that is then being traded into the marketplace, not a oh, hey, here's a piece of paper outlining how we met your regulation. That's not valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that other people on the right can see this and go, oh man, okay, cool. They're sort of taking notes a little bit. Oh, this is how you BTFO the media, taking notes. Oh, this is how you. So I mean, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being too optimistic here.
You're on the precipice of pragmatism again, right? This is back to the internet's faster when we.
Bring it again,
be
Robert.
careful
All right, you
because-
broke up. Say it again. Did y'all lose Robert?
I say
I
you're
missed
back
it.
on the precipice of using pragmatism, or in that hope, whatever you want to call it. It's again like the net neutrality thing, saying the internet's faster. Neutrality. Well, okay, so the economy works better when we remove regulation on business. Not because regulation on business is a violation of individual rights per se, but just because we get more money that way. So, let's get rich now, and then we'll put some regulation back later when we're all comfy.
I mean, no, it wasn't.
That's
I mean,
what the politicians will take away from it. Obviously, you don't think that.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
think
Do
Luke
you've
meant
done
that.
a radical shift since I talked to you yesterday.
I
Well,
don't
okay,
think he
so
meant that.
it wasn't the sense that. What I mean is that was the best that I was hoping for. I was like, this is the best that can come of this. Did I ever think that Trump was going to come, mount a moral defense of capitalism, like from an individual rights perspective? No, but I was at least hoping he would show them the way in some capacity. That was like what I was hoping for. I was like, that is, I think, the best that can come of this.
I just wanted that motherfucker to build the wall. Quite simply, that's all I wanted.
Russ,
And-
you said that Trump isn't getting it done.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that one of the problems, of course, is that, half the GOP doesn't even support him.
True.
So that's why the last 2 years were more stagnant than they should have been.
I agree
And
entirely,
that's the
sir.
battle he's always fighting.
I agree entirely. Yeah.
And it's going to be worse in the beginning than it is in the end.
Hopefully, but yes, sir. I agree entirely. You're right, Nate. You're right. I mean, he is beset on all sides.
That is spot on, and that's why people shouldn't get too excited. Presidents that they like get elected or that they don't like get elected, because in isolation, the president doesn't really have that much power.
And, quite simply, his two greatest failures, or some of his greatest failures, I mean, you can basically just attribute them to Congress. And, last year I was way more upset at Congress than I was at Trump. And all it takes is one guy like Jeff Flake, one guy like John McCain, and Republicans can't get anything passed.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
That's
but
true.
Nate, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of these cucks have been purged out of these midterms,
Yeah.
right?
No, they have. Yeah.
Yeah, well, or perished. But that's what I mean.
Or
we
walked
had an
away.
opportunity with the elections to hopefully
Yeah, Paul
get
Ryan.
more MAGA people in there and get out more of the establishment guys. And you look at someone like Matt Gaetz out of Florida.
Oh, yeah.
That's
He's
the
a
archetype.
soldier. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the archetype of congressman I want, or even like the guy John James who's running for senator in Michigan.
Yep.
I would vote for that guy
Absolutely.
100% of the time.
Yeah. Man, all right. So, as an aside, quickly, Shady Nate, what do you think about Martha McSally taking the... remember, Luke, you and I talked about her. Oh, my God. I must concede. I'm here with my dog on my couch. It was well done. It was a great election. And now here she is, Senator, stepping in for John Kyle. What do you think, Nate?
No, I was glad. I mean, out of Arizona, I was disappointed Kelly Ward didn't win the
Same
Republican
here.
nomination.
Same here. I watched her ads. I would drive from San Francisco to Texas and Texas back to San Francisco, and I would watch her ads, and they really, truly motivated me. But I think that what we're talking about here is a John McStain state here. That's what I think is up.
No, I think Arizona is probably beyond the realm of savior.
Yeah.
I think just through
I
immigration.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
As someone who has
Immigration.
significant experience with that state, I can tell you what went on there, which was
Bring it.
First of all, McCain had cult of personality type status. Everybody loved him because of his run in the presidential election. He's a war hero and all that. So he had a sort of license to do whatever he wanted to do, and he definitely went more soft and kind of leftist at the end, and everybody was like, well, he's our war hero. It's okay. The other thing that happened is mass migration from California in 2008.
Yes.
Right before the crash. A bunch of Californians cashed out their real estate and went to Phoenix and bought big houses and created a neo-Los Angeles in Phoenix.
Yeah, well, Scottsdale, to be specific.
And Scottsdale to some extent. Yeah. It became an urban center of leftism where they were all saying, why can't you save the world? Why can't we all have cake? And so that battle continues because everybody who's old school Arizona, born there, raised there, there's a lot of rural area in Arizona, and we know that tends to vote. And even in Phoenix, it was all pretty conservative for a long time, which is how McCain got in the first place. So it's still in transition, and I think it's going to be a battleground state for a few years to come. And it's really going to hinge on what the Hispanics do. We saw a lot of Hispanics who've been in Arizona for a long time going conservative, but they've got border issues just like Texas and just like New Mexico and just like California. So it's something to watch for the future. It's not settled yet.
I agree entirely. That's correct. Yeah.
Well, I think, my perception is that it's probably already teetering to where it's like irrecoverable. I mean, look at Orange County. Orange County went completely blue this year.
Well, that was voter fraud.
You'll ever have a red district again.
Yeah.
At least not.
No, that was inevitable. I mean, I'm surprised Orange County did.
But but Robert, you've been to OC. I've been to OC. It is really conservative, right? Their votes were co-opted. Their votes were robbed by voter harvesting.
No, you're not looking at Orange County from the correct lens. The little luscious beach towns are very conservative.
Okay.
Then you go to Anaheim. You go to Santa Ana. You go inland.
Okay.
And you find all the Hispanics who are, the maids working to clean the floors in those lush beach towns. Yeah. And they outnumber the people who have $10 million houses on the hill, of course.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
But, obviously Democrats control the entire state government, the entire voting apparatus. So I'm not trying to sit here and think that it was all above water.
Yeah. I can literally prove the voter harvesting scam in the OC. I can prove it. Yeah, I can prove it. Not right now. I didn't show.
Well, just don't lie to the FBI about it.
Yeah. It was a shame Trump didn't come out here.
It is, sir. Yeah, that was a major oversight on his part, man.
He spent too much time in states he was already winning. I don't know. I didn't agree with the over-focus on the Senate.
Yeah,
but I guess in the end, we got BTF votes so bad in the House that it probably didn't matter.
Well,
that's
one way to look at it.
I don't think we. Yeah. I view the 2010 midterms as BTF vote in the House. It wasn't as bad as that, was it? I don't know what the final count was.
Not even close. We're looking at 40 down in the House, and that was 68 in 2010. Yeah.
Yeah, 40 down is pretty bad, but
yeah.
And that's a lot of ground to make up in 2020.
It is, sir. It is.
But, credit to Trump because he does try to pass stuff through the Congress. So I give him immense respect for that. And he does that. Maybe he does that out of some spite for Obama. I'm fine with that. The end justifies the means. I don't care.
Maybe.
But he'll wield a pen if he has to. And he's said that before. And I have no doubt that he will if he has to.
Yeah.
To try
I have my pen in my
stuff.
phone. I have my pen in my phone. Yeah.
I'm looking at the list of topics. I think we've exhausted ourselves.
Have we? Good. I'm exhausted. You bastards exhausted me personally. All three of y'all exhausted me. Yeah.
One thing I want to say is that I'm really excited about what Trump has done with China. And I think the signs there are really good. And he's definitely playing hardball. Their economy has been getting absolutely wrecked. So I think we're winning. I think we're winning the tariff war. I think it's a brilliant way to bring people to the negotiating table. They have no reason to want to negotiate advantageous trade deals unless you say, okay, we're going to tariff your ass. and it's going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts us, and it has.
Yeah,
so I think it's
true.
poetry in motion.
True. Yeah, China is indeed upside down right now. Every which way they are. Yeah. Yeah.
So once we cut a trade deal with China, we cut a trade deal with Japan, things are going to be looking pretty good.
I agree.
And then you've got a carrot you can play with Korea too. Say, look, we've got this new Asian coalition. We got all this good trade going. Don't you want to be throwing nukes around and trying to play big man?
Indeed, sir. Bring a McDonald's to Pyongyang, and we're good. We're good. Yeah.
And by all accounts,
they'll serve rat burgers, but hey, that's better than they got now.
That's what Chairman Kim wants too. Like,
it is.
Trump makes it seem like he sold him on that vision, an Americanized Korea, and Trump wants the money there.
Yeah,
for our country.
I know. Yeah, we joked around one time about how like this whole Trump presidency was actually just a mastermind strategy to build the first Trump hotel in Pyongyang.
Yes, we
I'd
did.
be happy if that happened.
Yes, we did. Yes,
I gotta think that hotel would have a rocket theme.
Of course, right. Rocket Man, boy.
Yeah, playing Elton John in the lobby all the time.
Rocket elevators.
Oh man, yes.
Russ,
indeed.
something we didn't do this episode so far. We haven't done corrections, updates, or feedback. I have no corrections. I have no updates. Actually, we do have an update. I'll let you deliver the update. It's your update to deliver. And then we have one piece of feedback from a dear listener, but it's quite philosophical in nature. I'll read it right now. I think, and unless y'all want to cover it now, I'm just guessing this would be better for forthcoming thus far unnamed rebranded show. It's oh gosh, hold on, bear with me just 1 second. I clicked away from it. Okay. The question is, in thinking broadly about politics, ethics, philosophy, etc., I came up with these questions/answers for possible discussions on your show. He was referring to HSP. What is legal? What is ethical? What is moral? He offers some possible answers to this. And he gives some pretty graphic examples.
Dear listener, this had to be killed in HSP 18, but this is god tier listener feedback. I deferred to Robert even in that show. I deferred, right? Legal is pretty cut and dry, right?
He goes on. He says, one example: a young buck wandered onto our ranch and was attacked by our 3 domestic dogs. The deer was on the ground being torn apart, and your mother and I. Oh, I did it again, Russ. I doxed my dad.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
I did it on HSP 18, and I just did it again.
Yeah.
The deer was on the ground being torn apart, and your mother and I drove up in the Kawasaki mule, scaring off the dogs. After a few minutes, the buck got up and walked a few feet and fell down. He got up, walked off into the woods. An hour later, a buzzard was sitting high in the trees. Should I have killed the deer out of compassion? And then he goes on talking about like there's some laws around this and whatnot, and that led him to send in this dear listener feedback, which is what is legal, what is ethical, and what is moral. I'm guessing that I don't know. I'll defer this decision to y'all if we want to cover it now, or we want to hold off, and Robert and I can handle this on the next episode of forthcoming unnamed and rebranded show.
Well,
I think unnamed and rebranded because that's a broader philosophical topic that includes more than just politics, which is
exactly right.
The theme here.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay. All right. I happen to know that the law says the game that is on your property is your game, and I have researched it since HSP 18, Luke. I've researched it, right? So that is your game, right? So
okay.
Yeah. So, dear Dad, I would have killed the buck. I understand your questioning and equivocation, but I would have killed the buck. Straight up. That's what I would have done.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll hit that on unnamed and branded. So, so Russ, did you want to?
That might actually just become the name of the show. Just Zero Gravity Unbranded.
Good.
It's the white label with black lettering. Look for it in your grocery store.
Yeah. Well,
Oh man.
yeah.
No name philosophy coming right up.
Bro, I don't know the update. What's the update? What is it?
Come on, man. This is why we had to get on the call 30 minutes early before it started.
Yeah, I done forgot. Can you red pill me about this? I don't know.
It starts with a pod and ends in a bean.
Oh yes, dear listener. Here's what's up. We just plopped down some money, and we are fixing to be live on YouTube before you know it. Sit your ass down in this saddle. It's coming. It is happening. Yeah. So Luke and I are going into the cesspool of YouTube. We're going
Dude,
into.
I'm excited about you. I don't think it's a cesspool. I think a lot of the best ideological exchanges, no matter how incestuous and they are, I think YouTube is a really, really great medium.
Yeah, I do too. I happen to know 2 Original 6 at YouTube and am friends with them. 2 Original 6. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
somebody's reading a newspaper article and got auto-cucked.
Yeah. So, dear listener, get ready for it. We'll announce it when it's official that we're on YouTube. We'll announce.
I mean, I anticipate that. I mean, we have a catalog that we have to go through, and upload, and I don't know if we want to do that in order. This show onto YouTube, and I don't know, but we will be on YouTube within the next 24 hours.
Damn right,
whether
boy.
it's starting with HSP episode 1 or this episode.
Damn
not
right.
sure,
And hopefully you won't be back down off YouTube 20.
Indeed.
I don't.
Indeed.
Dude, I'm leaning on iTunes to be our standard of acceptability, and because iTunes they have a very rigorous process. They actually review every single episode that you post.
Yeah.
And so if we're doing okay on iTunes, I'm not too worried about YouTube.
I would agree. Yeah.
Because iTunes they were the first people to kick Alex Jones off.
That's true. That's
That's
true.
like Disney is known in the background checking industry as like the gold standard. Like whatever Disney uses, all of these other companies that have very sensitive business models around criminal background checking for employees, like they just sort of like, what is Disney doing? And they just go with that. As I understand it, that's sort of like content review with iTunes. So as long as we're on iTunes, I'm not worried.
Agreed, sir. Agreed.
That's funny. You said background checking, and I immediately Cox get into the drawings for their DVD covers and such.
The what?
You've never seen these controversies? You can find this stuff on the web where they're like hidden things that made Disney recall their movies or
Yeah.
whatever.
Little Mermaid. Little
yes.
Mermaid. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be like
Yeah.
penises drawn into
Yeah.
the seaweed or whatever.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. It was actually castles, Robert. They were penis-shaped castles in the background in Little
Yeah,
Mermaid.
you're right, dude.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. That's hilarious. That's probably like the people they didn't bother background checking. They're like, oh,
Yeah, that's
he's
why
a-
they now background, right? All these pedophiles.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah.
I totally forgot.
Yeah.
I love Easter eggs like that. I think
I do
in
too,
the movie,
man.
In the movie Troy, there apparently I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently there was an ag on the CGI team for the movie Troy, and there's a scene where the camera's panning. Well, obviously it's not a camera; it's all CGI, like panning out from the ocean as all of the ships are sailing to Troy, and on one of the sails you can see the sails have like their different animals and symbolism or whatnot, and each sail has like a giant symbol on it, and one of them is sawed off horns. And
No
actually-
way.
Yeah, I
Go
went
back
and
and look at that scene very carefully.
yeah, like I went and looked. It doesn't look exactly the same, but it is definitely a cow with sawed off horns, but
Oh
it's
my
shaped a little
God.
differently. It has like
Oh my God.
straight lines and things like this.
Oh my God. I love it, man. Yeah.
Can we confirm there was an ag on the team somewhere?
Well,
I don't
Actually,
know. I didn't do that much research.
I can. Okay. I will red pill you boys offline about this. I can confirm. I can.
Hard hitting. This is our hard hitting investigative journal. We do it.
That's right. Only the important stuff. Breaking news: someone has clowned UT.
Yeah.
Or TU, as it were.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed, sir. Yes. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, does that do it for a comfy Christmas episode? Did we want to? We didn't even talk about anything Christmassy. I thought this was going to be a very Christmassy
okay.
episode.
Yeah. Okay. Luke, what does Christmas mean to you?
Oh, all right. Christmas to me. I read an article
two questions.
every year. I'll put it in the.
Two
What's
questions. I have two questions. So first of all, we're going to go around the table. What does it mean to you? And second of all, I will ask my next question next. All right. Sorry, bro.
To me, it means new handlebars for my BMX bike.
Good.
No, I'm kidding. That was like like when I was a kid. It's like through series of Christmases and birthdays. I went from like at the age of from like 10 to 16. I went from like a Huffy to like a $2,000 BMX bike. Just asking for like part after part after part. But no, I mean, on a serious note, I read an article by Leonard Peikoff, who is the intellectual heir to Ayn Rand, and I read it. I read the same article each year. I'll put it in the show description, and he talks about this. And to me, Christmas is just a time of benevolence to your fellow man. That doesn't necessarily mean like sacrifice and like charity and this sort of thing, but just
giving,
just benevolence.
Yes.
Giving gifts to people who deserve it, people who are valuable to you, and things that you care about, and that's, I don't know. I mean, that's what it is to me in sort of a little bit of a philosophical sense, I guess you could say. I'll also say that Christmas in America is very secular. In Germany, it's not. In Europe has a very religious Christmas. It's actually funny to me when people accuse Christmas of being a religious holiday, because in America it is very much not a religious holiday. The aesthetics are very secular. In Europe, the aesthetics are very religious. They have Saint Nick. They don't have Santa Claus. They don't have Rudolph. They don't have any of this stuff. It is a strictly religious holiday. And so, yeah, I mean, to me, it's about benevolence. And I don't know what else to say about it than that.
That was well said. It was very well said. All right, Robert.
I would say it's all about abundance and reflection. I mean, the keeping of time, we like to do it in year cycles around the sun. We could have easily done that in July or something. It doesn't really matter. Do it, but the point is that you're saying, all right, that was then and this is now. Let's reflect back on this latest period of then and see how we did, and celebrate the fact that we are productive and we have abundance.
Hashtag
That's
me
funny.
too. Hashtag me
That's
too.
funny you mentioned that. I identify abundance. I associate abundance with Thanksgiving, reflection with New Year.
Well, there's that.
BTFO.
Yeah, that's definitely explicitly built into things. But Christmas is all about so much abundance that you can actually give it to people.
Yeah, that's true. But that's why I say it's benevolence, right? It's like abundance, benevolent reflection. That's like how I
absolutely.
Oh man, we're going full autiste.
Yeah, I know it. All right. Shady Nate, what you got? What does Christmas mean to you? What does it mean?
I think Christmas is about family, and thank God that my brothers and sisters have kids, because without them, they probably just get pretty cringe, you know. But they absolutely love it. So I think, it's about family, and it's about the next generation. And kids are the happiest at Christmas, and it feeds into
so
everyone
beautiful.
else, and I think it's nice.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Yeah.
I had never considered that. That's
Same
nice.
here. Yeah. All right.
Bringing content today, boys.
What about you? Well, hold on. We got to hear Russ's answer.
Well, I mean, Christmas for me is about more ammo, because everybody always gifts me ammo for Christmas, and so it's about that, you know. But no, you know, I echo all three of your sentiments, gentlemen, because it literally is about that for me. It is about reflection. It is about seeing where we're at. It is about the beauty of winter and the beauty of family and the beauty of friendship, gentlemen. So I toast you right now. It's about this right now. It's about this. And I do appreciate so much. And, we're all alive, gentlemen. Dear listener, we're all alive. And it is time
that
to
is
reflect
the greatest
upon
gift of
that.
all.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right, question
Cheers,
2.
guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
cheers.
Cheers,
Oh,
boy.
we got a cheers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Question 2.
Yeah. Question 2. Okay. All right. Luke, what are your Christmas traditions? What do you do every year?
First and foremost, Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
I have to watch it.
Okay.
A fun trivia note. They play Christmas Vacation here in Germany in a translated version called Schöne Bescherung. And the scene where the old grandma says grace,
Oh, yeah, dude.
where yeah, she says the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, that joke does not translate into a different culture. That's like very much just an American thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They had to like replace that whole speech with some other joke. And they replaced it with her going on this rant about Abraham Lincoln freeing the slaves and all this. She's like, "Thank you, Abraham Lincoln, for freeing the slaves."
Yes.
And she's just going on about it. I don't know. It's hilarious. That's a fun trivia fact. But
Yeah.
Traditions, eggnog, Christmas lights. I mean, pretty. Honestly, dude, nothing, no outliers really. Christmas Vacation, Christmas lights, eggnog, turkey on Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty traditional, I would say.
All right, Shady Nate, go. What's your Christmas tradition?
Yeah, I watch Love Actually. Actually, every Christmas I try and watch Love Actually.
Really?
I've already knocked that out,
Oh,
and was not alone for that one, so it worked out well.
well done, sir.
And thank you, sir. No longer an incel, so proud to. No, but just smoking fags with my family and stuff. Go up, visit the mom, have a few fags, maybe got a fireplace going. That's the good stuff.
All right, Robert, bring it.
Charlie Brown Christmas and shrimp on Christmas Eve.
Oh, Charlie Brown Christmas? Yes, sir.
Yeah. And it's good to note that some of the ideas that you guys regularly wrangle with here, you watched the Charlie Brown Christmas special. I think it's from 1968. And isn't it Lucy who's complaining Christmas is too commercialized? Or maybe it's Linus. One of them is
Yeah.
complaining about the commercialization of Christmas. And you think back to 1968, that must have been funny.
Yeah.
Compared to what our Christmases are like now, and in the Black Friday chaos and Cyber Monday whatevers, they didn't know what commercialization was. So
Indeed.
keep that in mind, that none of these ideas are stuff that we complain about.
Indeed, sir. Indeed.
Yeah, Charlie Brown Christmas is great. I actually planned the 88th birthday party for Lee Mendelson, who was the guy who worked with Charles Schulz to bring Peanuts
That's correct.
to TV.
Yeah, that's correct.
And I have a signed copy of the book form of Charlie Brown Christmas by
No
Lee
way.
Mendelson here.
No way.
Yeah, dude, he was my book. It was funny, man. He came into my office and somebody waiting in your office was like, "Oh, okay, I'll get to him here in a second." So I had like Lee Mendelson like waiting on me in my office, dude.
In San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he lives up in Marin County.
Which probably explains how Vince Guaraldi got brought into all of it.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. Probably. Yep.
Yeah, super nice guy. He's a real nice guy.
All right. So I listened to Vince Guaraldi for the holidays, nonstop.
Huh.
Nonstop.
Yeah, you do got to love their Christmas stuff. Basically, the soundtrack to the movie.
Yeah. Also, I mean, until this year, I also drive back from California through the West, coming back to Texas to like a salmon going upstream. I come home every year, except now I am home with my family. So I am kind of rethinking it, right? But, you know, I also watch Lord of the Rings every year at Christmas.
Nice.
Every
All
year.
3.
Interesting.
All 3. Yeah.
I have to ask Robert, is there a reason for the shrimp on Christmas Eve? Is there like
Yeah,
a story to that? Or?
Yeah.
It was I don't know where it came from. Would always do.
Say it one more again. You broke up.
We would have shrimp cocktail and champagne punch and open presents on Christmas Eve so that nobody had to get up early on Christmas Day.
We was drinking champagne punch and homemade eggnog. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was just kind of something y'all just came upon.
Yeah, and we've expanded it now to my wife's side to have Italian food on Christmas Eve. So now we have shrimp cocktail and Italian food.
Ah, cool,
Okay.
man.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that actually reminded me. So we do have, like, Jessica and I, we have one outlier. Again, Christmas is very religious over here, so the Advent is a big deal. So we, every Sunday night for the 4 Sundays of Advent, we cook a very nice meal and invite a couple of, people that we like over, like Jessica's parents for one, and her brother and his wife. And then we also, we just watch a ton of movies. But yeah, that's like, I would say that's our one unique tradition is for the 4 Sundays of Advent, we cook a very nice meal and invite people over that we value.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Just beautiful. All 3 of y'all. Just beautiful. Just beautiful.
All right, man. Does that do it for HSP episode 19?
I
Comfy
think so.
Christmas with HSP.
Do
we all
so,
agree
sir?
that's a curtain call?
Yeah, I think we put it down.
Yep.
Boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Robert, Nate, what do y'all think? Do y'all have something else to say? Probably not.
Man, I can't think of a thing.
Technically, I do want to say that I'm glad Trump didn't cave on the wall. And it seemed like on Thursday night he was going to do that, and there was a lot of backlash on social media from conservatives, quote unquote conservatives, about not bucking on that. And last year he said the same thing, but then he ended up not shutting down the government. So this time he did,
Yeah.
and I'm happy about it. So Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, brother.
Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas.
And
All right.
to all a new furlough.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, dear listener, thank you for joining us for a comfy Christmas with HSP. Maybe we'll do some sort of New Year's episode as well. No idea who will be on. Well, obviously, Robert, and Nate. You guys, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes,
you are
indeed.
welcome. Anytime you want to come on HSP.
Every time.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to come on the Friday Night Comfy Post, you guys are total.
Your crew.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. You guys rock. And thank you so much for joining us. And you're welcome to do any episode with us, most especially a New Year's episode, which we will do. And Robert and I are going to get back on the train here soon with unnamed and unbranded. And yeah, I think that does it. Merry
Yes,
Christmas,
sir.
dear listener.
Merry Christmas, Luke. Merry Christmas, Robert. Merry Christmas, Shady Nate. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to all.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Late.